Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 21 TL, Alt, Chapter 21, Introduction to Maso. The next day, as planned, Wataru and the others went to Maso's slave house. As usual, there was a gatekeeper in front of the store, but he must have remembered Wataru's face. He let them through immediately. Once inside, they were greeted by the always intimidating slave trader Maso. "Oh, aren't you the customer who came here through an introduction from the Welcome Trading Company the other day? What brings you here today?" "I have a question about air. Is there a problem with our product?" "No, it's not that. I'm very happy with both of them." "I see. They're all that nicely dressed. I'm glad you take such good care of them." Well, I've received a letter from William-san, so could you take a look at it?" "I understand." When she says that he is taking care of them, Wataru is embarrassed and can't find the words to say. He wants to end the conversation for now, so he hands the letter to Maso, who quickly checks the contents and nods several times. She must have understood the situation. The doubt was gone from Maso's face. Then, to quickly resolve the next question, she took some documents from a shelf and began to check the contract or customer book. Was it the person who bought the Golden Tiger Tribe's belongings? I wonder who it was. Let me see. Just a moment. I'll check. Please do. Baron Mo. He's a famous collector. He collects a wide range of rare items, mostly art. Do you think he would agree to an exchange? Well, he doesn't have anything in particular that he's really attached to, so I think something of equal value should do the trick. I see. That's good. That was good news. If the person in question was extremely attached to swords and such, it was likely that negotiations would have been difficult. He tapped Air lightly on the shoulder, who stood anxiously at Wataru's side. Air smiled happily. Even though they had begun to work on solving the problem, whether they would actually succeed was still unknown, and she must have been worried. Nevertheless, a possibility had appeared. What kind of person is Baron Mo? He is a successful nobleman. He may have a low title, but he runs many farms and is a skilled manager. He uses the money he earns to collect art. He's not one of our regular customers, though, so I don't know much more than that. I'm sorry. I see. No, thank you very much. I think I'll go and deal with him personally. If that's the case, I'll write a letter of introduction for you. If you go to the nobles without an introduction, you'll just be turned away at the gate. Maso winks and smiles. Wataru feels intimidated by her muscular bodybuilder smile but is very grateful for her kindness. At the same time, he knew that he would have to learn good manners and carefully choose the items he wanted to bargain for so as not to cause trouble for the person who introduced him. He didn't have the sensitivity to be rude to someone of noble birth out of the blue. However, he felt bad about the kindness he received, and he wanted to ask Maso why. There was no reason for her to go out of her way for a customer who had only bought from her once. "I know it's rude of me to say this after you've been so kind to me, but why are you going to such lengths to help me?" When you're a slave trader, you see all kinds of customers. When you buy a slave, you buy him to be useful to you, right? Well, that's true. But there are also masters who are kind to the slaves they buy. We also welcome customers who don't treat the slaves they buy badly. Remember that. Okay? I understand. Thank you very much. If you ever need more, come back. I'll have some of my best girls ready for you. I'll use them then. Also, if I have anyone else I want to introduce, I'll introduce them here. That's enough. See you again. They left the shop, escorted by Maso. He walked down the street, staring at the envelope Maso had given him. Since Mariel and Air had dressed up nicely, the stares of the people on the street had become even more intense than before. "Do you know where Baron Mo's territory is, Mariel?" "Yes. I told you that this town is located below the royal capital, right? Baron Mo's territory is about 5 days southeast from here. It's a very important area for grain and livestock production. I'm just wondering, but are barons really that profitable? The title of nobility and one's wealth are not really related." "Really? But I thought the higher the nobility rank, the more land they would have." "That is not necessarily the case. How well you can manage your territory, whether you have resources to sell, and whether you can produce special goods or engage in river trade are more important." "You know a lot." "I studied at the academy because I wanted to manage my territory as well as possible." There were many poor, landless nobles in Japan during the Warring States period, so this does not seem to be an absolute rule. Does Mariel know Baron Mo? I met him at dinner parties and such. My family was very poor, so I didn't have much contact with the wealthy Baron Mo. Mariel's expression always darkens when she talks about her family being reduced to slavery. It seems that her family's situation was not very good. However, it was also important to find out if Mariel had met Baron Mo, as it would be difficult to deal with any problems that might arise in the future if he did not know. In that case, I think we should start preparing some collectibles that Baron Mo would like. He is a wealthy collector, so I think he has a very discerning eye. Master, is everything okay? Leave it to me. I'll definitely find a way to make it work. The world is completely different. Even if he's dealing with a noble, there must be a lot of things that Baron Mo has never seen before. If that's the case, the things he needs to do will become clear. First, we need to find something worth selling to make some Japanese yen. There's no point in waving an empty sleeve. Buying the items to exchange also requires money, and while there's no problem with the money from the other world, his savings in Japanese yen were getting pretty tight. He hadn't worked since he bought the 2 girls, and his expenses were piling up. He needed to earn money quickly to make a living and find a way to earn a regular income. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 22 TL, Alt, Chapter 22, Pharmacy. There were many shops that Wataru had been curious about since he arrived in the other world. However, there weren't many things that he could immediately think of to sell in Japan. This was because there were problems with the methods of selling them, as will be explained later. That's when Wataru noticed the potions. It's common to see potions in fantasy novels and games. If the potions in this world were not very different from what Wataru had imagined, then there must be many people who would want to buy them, even if they had to pay a lot of money. After all, the annual medical expenses in Japan amount to 30 trillion yen. He walks around town with Mariel and The pharmacy he found a few days ago while scouting the area had a sign painted with a potion bottle and mortar, so he recognized it at a glance. But there are a lot of houses without windows. Welcome Trading Company, Slave Shop, Weapons Shop, and this pharmacy. So far, all the shops he's been to seem to be above a certain size, but none of them have large windows. To put it bluntly, they're all rather dim. The glass itself is a very old thing, dating back to 3000 BC, but it had to wait until the Industrial Revolution to change from blown glass to flat glass. Because it was not possible to make large sheets of glass, the technique of stained glass was born, and other creative ideas were born in the meantime, but the translucency of sheet glass was still far superior, and the problem was that stores tended to be dim. Of course, if you open the door, light will come in, but now there is the problem of ventilation. This could also be a product, but I wonder if the nobles would want it first. Is this the store you were looking for? Yes, it's a pharmacy. If it's a fantasy world, there would be potions and such. I wonder if they have them here. I think they probably do. Could it be that you, Master, are not feeling well? No. I was thinking of using that for my business. Mariel's expression clouded with worry, so he replied lightly that he was fine. He was aware that he wasn't taking care of himself, but there were no physical problems anywhere. He was also worried about what would happen if he continued to live like this for another 10 years, but with the environment changing so drastically, it seemed that those worries would be unfounded. I used to use it a lot, too. Is that so? Because gladiators often get injured during training and fights. But you don't have any scars or anything like that. Well, I'm glad about that. I was never the type to get seriously injured, and there were always potions in the arena, so I drank them right away. If a fighter gets seriously injured and retires, it will have a negative effect on the entertainment business. Who was especially strong, was very popular, so I think she could have definitely taken the potion right away. I see. Mariel nodded in agreement with the explanation. Of course, the strong champions become popular. Everyone likes things that are strong, good, or beautiful. Even if she's not suitable as a betting target, her strength itself is a flower. They enter the shop. The hinges creak and make a sound, and frowns. As a beastkin, the unpleasant sound probably has a greater effect on her excellent ears. Like many other shops, the pharmacy had a counter and shelves lined up in the back. The smell of various ingredients that had been powdered or boiled wafted through the air. It wasn't a bad smell, but it was a unique smell that couldn't really be called a good smell. Standing in front of the shop was an old woman with a goat-like face, or perhaps she was a young woman. It was not uncommon to see beastkin who looked very different from humans, not only those with animal ears and tails like hair, but some of the same tribe also had a strong animal appearance. Watru couldn't look at the faces of the people passing by, and although he was surprised, he felt it would be rude to show it, so he held back. When the woman from the goat tribe made eye contact with Wataru and the others, she called out, "Welcome." The sound of her voice revealed her age. Her tone was neither rude nor polite, and her posture was neither welcoming nor dismissive. Wataru stared at the potion bottles and the list of products on the shelf behind the counter. He could see that there were various potions, including ones for cuts, fast, slow, and chronic, and coughs, as well as ones for fevers, paralysis, and burns. "Excuse me, I'd like to ask you something. What are the effects of the potions sold here?" "This one will get rid of your fatigue in no time." Is that okay?" "It's not something you should use regularly, but there's no problem taking it in moderation. Adventurers and such often buy it. It wouldn't do to die of exhaustion when you're in a dangerous place, would it?" I see. Wataru thought, this pharmacy is dangerous. But he didn't know if it was just this pharmacy that was dangerous or if the whole industry was like that. Wataru thought, but he's not a policeman, and if there's nothing wrong with the local laws, it would be wrong for him to interfere. Depending on the era, alcohol may be banned, and cannabis may be legalized. In the spirit of when in Rome, do as the Romans do, he withheld his opinion. The woman of the goat tribe lifts the next bottle. "This one is good for wounds, and this one is a little more expensive, but it heals most cuts and grazes in an instant." "What's the difference between the expensive one and the cheap one?" "The expensive one has more magic in it, so it's more effective and works faster. It's a one-shot cure for most injuries, including back pain and joint pain." "What about the cheaper one?" "This one is just made of herbs, so it takes longer to heal, but it works." "But you don't look like an adventurer." "Oh, no. I'm not an adventurer, I'm a merchant from another country." "I see. Please buy a lot." The word magic appeared here, and Wataru was surprised, curious, interested, and satisfied, with a complex of feelings. Speaking of fantasy, the element of magic is indispensable. However, even though he knew from conversations with Mariel and Air that magic existed, there was a high possibility that it was something extremely rare. "I want to be able to use magic, too. I wonder if I can learn it and be able to use it." "Is there a potion that can heal old wounds? Like the kind of big injuries that adventurers get from time to time?" "Well, this is for chronic injuries. But it's good for that, too." "So it's good for things like knee injuries or shoulder pain from overuse?" "Yes, it's fine." "What's wrong? Are you sick?" "No, it's not that." Wataru was a little worried that everyone was so worried about him. He wondered if he looked more unwell than he thought. Lately, Wataru had hardly gone out during the day and had been writing on his computer all the time, so he hadn't seen any sun. This seemed a little strange to the people of this city. Anyway, after clearing up the misunderstanding, Wataru continues to ask for product explanations. The explanation moves from the potion bottle shelf to the pills and decoction medicine shelf. Decoction medicine is mainly for so-called diseases. There are also cures for numbness, poison, and confusion. "I might want to buy some of these later, but not right now." "Maybe this is better for you, brother." The goat tribe lady points to a potion bottle on another shelf. The bottle contains a bright pink, viscous liquid, but there is no name on it. "What is it?" "It's an aphrodisiac. Give some to a girl, and she'll be hot and excited in no time." "No, no, I don't want it." "Is that so? You have two such beautiful women with you, don't you want to enjoy yourself? You want to see them go wild from the effects of the drug, don't you?" Master, wait a minute. I didn't say anything like that." "Why am I in this predicament?" Wataru resisted as best he could while being subjected to cold stares. He bought the aphrodisiac. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 23. Enjoy. TL. Alt. Chapter 23. How to use the healing potion. How do you import things from civilizations other than Earth and turn them into money? When Wataru thought about this problem, it seemed quite difficult. The main problems were legal restrictions and the proliferation of sources due to the information society. For example, There is the problem of drug approval. If a pharmaceutical company could just make a drug and sell it because it was made, then the pharmaceutical company could do whatever it wanted. The system is already in place, with the government giving approval and licensed pharmacists selling the drugs. There are also issues like quarantine for animals and plants. Taking gold or artwork to a pawn shop or buying office is a quick way to get cash. But since identification must be verified, tax inspectors may suspect tax evasion, and aiding and abetting, and come to investigate. Also, no matter how effective it is, to sell it, you need the right kind of shop, the right kind of license, the right kind of connections, and so on. Taking all these things into consideration, it seemed like the right thing to do was either to give the product to an already established company or to sell it to a few enthusiasts or rich people who would be able to make good use of it, even in today's Japan. Of course, this required a level of trust that would allow Wataru to be taken seriously. As a young man with no particular accomplishments, there were not many people who would listen to him seriously without turning him away at the door. After hearing information about Baron Mo from Maso, Wataru used his home computer and smartphone to try to contact people who might be able to talk business. When he had another chance, he was a little busy and usually didn't get a positive response. Just when he was about to give up and think, "I guess it's no use," he received a reply from one of them saying that they would be willing to meet. Wataru couldn't help but clench his hands and exclaim, "All right, I've made contact." "What is it, Master?" "I might be able to make some money here. I'm going to meet someone." "Sorry, but you two have to stay home today." "I'm sorry we can't go with you, but please leave the house in our care." "Is it not good with her?" "No, Master is working hard for us, and we will work hard on our training." Watching the two of them with their slumped shoulders, he felt like he was doing something wrong. If he could, he would have liked to take them through the city and show them around, but that wouldn't be possible today. He didn't want to risk giving the impression that he was being rude by bringing his girlfriend along when he wanted to talk about important things. Besides, he also had to sort out the things he had bought and get them used to electronic devices and so on. So he thought this was an important time to leave the house in their care. As for her, he feels bad that he can't let her do her job as a bodyguard. But that doesn't mean I don't care about her. Their sense of ethics regarding murder and killing is completely different from that of modern Japanese people. In some countries on Earth, people who are robbed or pickpocketed are beaten to a pulp and sometimes even die. And there are some similarities with that kind of mentality. Even if you say that violence is wrong in a peaceful country like Japan, there is a chance that you might end up striking out in a moment of anger. Mariel and Air are very distinctive. It was impossible to say that they would never get angry and commit murder over a violent pickup attempt. Although he wanted to take them with him and give them a variety of experiences, he still couldn't seem to do it freely. He thought that this was a problem that would be solved in time. The person Wataru wanted to meet was in a coffee shop in a hotel in Osaka City. He was 2 heads taller than the people around him, and his solid physique stood out even from a distance. Yota Indo is 2 years older than Wataru and currently plays professional baseball. He played second base and was on the first team for this year's opening game. When Yota noticed Wataru, he raised his long arms and waved them from side to side. "Yo-chan, it's been a while." "Hey Wataru. It really has been a while, hasn't it?" Smiling with a handsome face, he spoke in a loud voice that matched his physique. "God is so unfair, because he has good athletic ability and a handsome face that he can make it as a professional baseball player." He first met Yota when they were in kindergarten. Their families were close neighbors, so they used to play together. Yota, who had been immersed in baseball since elementary school, had already shown glimpses of his talent at that time, but he had performed so well that he was noticed by scouts. When he entered a strong high school, Yota, who had entered the school on a private sports scholarship and was busy training, had less and less opportunity to see him, but they were still good friends because they had played a lot together as kids. He was the only link that Wataru could contact directly. This also meant that if the negotiations failed, he would lose his means of quickly converting his gold into cash. Of course, if things went badly, he could take other measures, such as pawning the gold, but that was not the way Wataru wanted to make money. For Wataru, this was a negotiation where failure was not an option, and he was under a lot of pressure right now. "Thank you for taking the time to come here today, even though you're busy." "It's been about 3 years, hasn't it?" What are you doing now? I'm working as a web writer, and I've also recently started doing some kind of private trading. Wow, you do some kind of unusual work. He ordered a hot coffee from the waitress and told her about his current situation. Wataru could tell that Ryota's expression had become a bit tense. Even though they had been friends for many years, they had not been in touch for a while after they both started working, and now he had suddenly asked to meet. It would not be surprising if he was suspected of being involved in a religion or a pyramid scheme. As he cooled down in the air-conditioned room, Wataru consciously smiled ironically. Don't worry, it's got nothing to do with religion, pyramid schemes, or insurance. Oh, no, I'm not worried about that, but you know, since I became a baseball player, I suddenly have a lot of relatives I've never met before. I've heard stories like that, but does it really happen? It does. And a lot of people lose a lot of money. Even the most spectacular professional baseball player must have a lot of hard work and struggle behind the scenes. However, Wataru relies on Ryota's connections and savings as a professional baseball player. The only difference is that Wataru has no intention of cheating Ryota. On the contrary, he wants Ryota to be the first to drink the precious and effective healing potion. The waitress brought a cup of coffee. On a hot day, it's a real pleasure to drink a cup of hot coffee with steam rising from it in a room cooled to the freezing point by the air conditioner, with just a little sugar and a little more milk than usual. Wataru looked at the coffee and tried to calm down. The delicious aroma of the coffee rose to his nose. It helped him to calm down a bit. I want you to drink this, Ryota. What is this? A nutritional supplement? This is a medicine that heals injuries. It's a new medicine I brought from overseas. It costs 3 million yen. 3 million yen? Even as I say this, it sounds really suspicious. Who would suddenly believe such a story? Wataru maintained a serious expression even though he felt like he was about to let out a wry smile. Since he was talking about such an absurd story, he had to at least maintain a serious attitude. As expected, Ryota looked as if he didn't believe him at all. The eyes he had directed at his close junior colleague from the neighborhood had now turned into cold looks directed at the shady businessman. Hey, Wataru, aren't you being tricked? It's true. I've also heard the story from someone who actually tried it. Even if it is you, do you really think I'd believe such a wild story? I don't. If it were me, I'd suspect it was some kind of shady business. I thought as much. That's why I don't have a problem with success-based payment. He had expected that Ryota wouldn't believe him right away. That's why he had already thought about how to make him believe him. He put his elbows on the table and folded his hands. I've already spent 3 million yen on this. So if you think it's effective, please introduce me to a professional baseball player who's struggling with injuries and has 3.5 million yen to spend. You learn 500,000 yen. It costs more than a purchase price. I know it's not cheap. But if it can completely cure a professional baseball player's injury, I think it's a price worth paying. Don't you think so? Ryota gulped. He had been in the first team until the start of this year's season, but he had to leave the team in May after injuring his knee. Wataru thought that this was a period of rest. It was probably because Ryota was resting that he agreed to the sudden invitation. This medicine also works on old injuries. For example, it can heal joints completely. I see. Wataru knew that I had injured my knee in junior high, didn't he? Yes. It's a success fee. Why don't you try it and see if it works? Well, if you say so, I'll take it. I'm willing to sell it to Ryo-chan for 3.5 million yen, but I'm planning to charge the others 5 million yen. I've prepared a contract as well. If you're feeling better, Ryo-chan, please introduce me properly. That's what the price difference is for. You're really pushy. Well, okay. I really want to get better, too. If it doesn't work, I won't pay a single yen. Is that what you're saying? That's fine. But please don't pretend that it doesn't work if it does. I won't. It'll be obvious when you see how well it works later. Wataru's explanation worried Ryota, but eventually, he seemed to come to terms with it and pulled the cork out of the potion bottle. There was a pop, and he stared at the contents. Please, I hope it works. From Mayor's words, it seems to be okay, but it's a drink with an unknown power from another world at work. Even if it works over there, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will have the same effect here. Ryota swallowed the potion without noticing, even though Wataru looked at him with worried eyes. The thick liquid flowed from the bottle into his mouth, and Wataru's eyes reflected a look of surprise. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 24. TL. Alt. Chapter 24, Effect of the Healing Potion. Immediately after Ryota drank the potion, his body began to glow slightly. It was a faint light, like fluorescent paint, and unless someone was staring at it, they probably wouldn't notice it. The light seemed to be concentrated in places like Ryota's right elbow, left knee, waist, and hip joints. What? Ryo-chan's body is glowing. Wataru stared at Ryota in amazement, but Ryota also looked at his own body in amazement. Oh, this is... My body is hot. Are you okay? Why yeah. It's gone now. What is this? I think it's proof that the treatment worked. Why is my body glowing? That's weird. Doesn't it hurt? Ryota, who had been making sharp comments, suddenly looked at his own arm. The light had already faded, and the next moment, he began to make suspicious movements, such as twisting his arm and turning his body as if in panic. His expression was tense, his eyes wide open, and there was something desperate about his posture. Seriously? No, it doesn't hurt. This one, too. My elbow straightening up. Ryo-chan, everyone's looking at you, you attract a lot of attention. Oh, I'm sorry. The coffee shop inside the hotel was frequented by a rather mature crowd. Ryota's loud voice stood out. However, if the pain he had suffered for so long had been instantly relieved, then the emotion he felt would not have been exaggerated. Wataru couldn't understand or sympathize with the struggles of an injured athlete. That was because he had never taken sports that seriously. Still, Wataru remembered Ryota's face, which had looked gloomy for a while in the past when he'd suffered from an injury. Hey, can we leave the coffee shop for a while? I want to try to move my body around. Of course. Shall we go to the park? Yeah, let's do that. Perhaps because he was surprised, Ryota, who usually spoke in standard Japanese, spoke in the Kansai dialect. He pulled up a map on his smartphone and walked to a small park nearby. It was a very desolate park with nothing but a swing and a clock, but fortunately, there were no other visitors, so it was actually quite comfortable for Ryota to move around. In early summer's hot and humid weather, Ryota demonstrates his excellent physical skills to the full. He runs, jumps sideways, does full squats, throws a ball, swings a bat. With each repetition of the various movements, Ryota lets out a scream of joy and breaks into a smile. Haha, what's this? It doesn't hurt at all. Seriously? Ryo-chan, that was great. Wow, this is amazing. Look at me, Wataru. I can do this move too. Wow, a round-off backflip. I've seen that kind of performance at home runs before. My body feels so light. I'm not afraid of anything anymore. Wait a minute. What is it, Wataru? You can't say that, it sounds dangerous. I don't know what you mean, but if you're so desperate to stop me, I'll stop. Wataru interrupted Ryota's words in a panic, feeling as if he had almost set off a huge flag. He didn't really understand what was happening, but he felt that something was about to happen. Ryota looked confused, wondering what he was being told, but it seemed that the feeling of joy was still stirring in his heart. He nodded with a smile. It seems that disaster has been averted. From Ryota's posture and body movements, it seemed almost certain that the potion had worked. That's why he had to ask Ryota to pay. Although he believed that Ryota was not the type of person who would back down, it was not uncommon for people to react in unexpected ways when the time came. Wataru asked the question while listening to his own heartbeat. Ryo-chan, what do you think of the effect? Ryota let out a cry as if to say, that's right, and then his expression suddenly became stern. The thought no way came to his mind. The pain is completely gone. I don't know if it's because of that or because my flexibility has improved, but I feel a strange sensation when I move. I think I'll get used to it soon. So you mean you actually felt the effect? Oh, I'm sorry for doubting you. This is definitely an amazing medicine. I didn't tell my coach or trainer, but the truth is that my lower back and hip joints were really hurting, so I just pretended to be okay. I see. I can move with all my strength now. Thanks for talking to me. Look forward to the rest of the games this year. I'll definitely show you my best performance. I'm looking forward to it. I'll send you tickets. Come and see me play. Oh, I'll pay you as promised, and I'll introduce you to some people I know. I came to see you play, so please don't strike out every at-bat. Don't be stupid. With a broad smile on his face, Yota raised his arm. His well-trained biceps formed a bulge. His appearance was filled with confidence. Above all, Wataru was happy that he could help Yota. In order to transfer such a large amount of money, 3.5 million yen, identification is required. Since it was a weekday, they both went to the bank and had the money transferred to Wataru's account. In order to work as a web writer, Wataru filed a business registration as a sole proprietor. If he hadn't, the money would have been classified as miscellaneous income, and he would have had to pay a huge amount in taxes. So much money for just one transaction. When the amount of money in his bank account suddenly increased, he felt a warm sensation. And this was just the beginning, not a one-time income. In fact, it was just the start. After all this time, Yota's initial excitement began to fade. Nevertheless, he asked Wataru a question with a voice that showed that he was in a good mood. So, is there someone you want me to introduce you to? I'll leave it up to you to introduce me to someone. Someone from the same team who doesn't play the same position, or even someone from a different team or sport would be fine. That's a big help. To be honest, I don't really want to help someone who plays the same position as me. Of course not. Your livelihood is at stake. He agreed with Yota's comment. Yota breathed a sigh of relief that he hadn't been criticized. Just like you didn't trust me, other people might not trust me right away. But there are bound to be players who are struggling with injuries and would like to try anything, and there are also people who can provide the money for it. Please introduce me to those people. I think there are more than you think. How about the contact information? There is a bit of a situation, so it might take a while before we can get in touch. So could you send a message to my email? Oh, that's fine, but how far do you want to go with this can't get in touch thing? I can't really say where I can get this medicine. Sorry. No, that's only natural. He couldn't honestly tell him about the existence of another world. He had to make it up, but Yota was satisfied with the answer. In his imagination, he could have been negotiating with a tribe in the depths of the Amazon. It's not a bad guess. Well, I have to go home now because I need to stock up on supplies. Thank you for meeting me today and buying the product even though you were busy. No, thank you. Thanks to you, I'll be able to play baseball a lot more from now on. I never thought this day would come. You're a lifesaver for me, so thank you. I look forward to seeing your name in the news. They bowed to each other and left the place. Wataru's heart was filled with joy at having made a lot of money as he had planned, at having been able to help Yota, and at the prospect of his business going well in the future. I have to tell Mariel and Air about this. They'll be so happy. His steps lightened, and he hurried home. That year, Yota Indo returned to the team and had an outstanding season, raising the spirits of the baseball world. But that was still a long way off. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 25. TL, Alt. Chapter 25, Preparations for Departure to the Barony of Mo. The money has been obtained. This means they are one step closer to being able to negotiate with Baron Mo. Air's mood has improved dramatically, and her trust and affection for Wataru have increased greatly. She hums a tune, a smile on her sweet face. Her big eyes sparkle, and her cheeks flush, and she looks like a young girl in contrast to her mature body. Let's go. Let's go tilde exclamation mark get my sword back tilde exclamation mark. Hey, Air, you better get ready too. You seem to be in a good mood. Yes, master. My sword will be returned soon, right? I'm really looking forward to it. Whoa, hey, don't hug me so suddenly. You're distracting me with your breasts, and I can't concentrate on my work. Listen to me for a second, Air. If you don't get ready, you'll be the only one without food or a change of clothes. I don't want that. Since you insist, I'll get ready too. My master likes breasts tilde semicolon he always looks at them tilde dot. Hey, stop singing that song. It's too true to be corrected. The room was very noisy. Wataru was sitting at the kitchen table in the dining room, working on his laptop, answering emails, and writing articles as a web writer. He had originally been hired by a company to work on a small project, but progress had been delayed due to the emergency situation of suddenly being able to travel to the other world. He had received an email from the person in charge asking about the progress of the project, and he had struggled to think of what to write in his reply. The work he had accepted wasn't particularly profitable compared to selling potions, but he didn't want to just let it drop. Air sang an impromptu song and hugged Wataru, who was sitting on a chair, with a big smile on her face. Her ears perked up, and her tail wagged. She was in a surprisingly good mood. However, her work as a slave was completely useless. As long as they stayed indoors, there was no need for a bodyguard. Although Air was not completely useless when it came to housework like cooking and washing, Mariel was better at it. Mariel, on the other hand, had already started preparing for their future trip, packing the clothes, underwear, and Japanese food they had bought into bags. The Baron's territory was 3 days away by carriage. If they walked, it would take 4 days for a strong hiker. For Wataru, who usually stayed at home, it would be better to allow 5 days to be on the safe side. Fortunately, the capital of the barony is close to the city, or rather, close to the royal capital, so it is said that you can enter the area immediately after walking along the main road, but it is not possible to make a day trip. The things you need will also depend on whether you can get a carriage. Proper preparations were necessary. I hope Baron Mo will be satisfied. I think it will be fine. I was really surprised when I saw it myself. I'm sure he has a lot of rare things, right? Honestly, I'm a little worried. One of the preparations was the selection of trade goods to be used in the negotiations with Baron Mo. Mariel and Air's opinions were also taken into consideration. Master, do your best, okay? Go for it, go for it. I understand. I appreciate your support. But I'm doing important work right now. For the sake of your escort on the road, please train hard. Got it? Master, would you like me to make you a cup of coffee? Yes, please. When you're done, can you resume the preparations? Thank you. No, it's not a problem. His mind was completely focused on the feeling of Air's chest on his shoulder, and he hadn't made any progress on the script since earlier. When he looked at the text editor, all he had written was squishy, 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 and it didn't even form a sentence. Air must be having fun. But this is important work that Wataru can't just leave unfinished. He has to change his mindset and concentrate properly. It's been 10 days since Mariel and Air moved in. It's already the middle of July. Mariel is starting to get used to the modern Japanese cooking utensils, and she's even started to make delicious coffee. Once you know how to use them, they're actually quite easy to use, as the heat and other functions are stable. After that, Wataru managed to finish writing the script, and Mariel carefully packed the items for negotiation into the top of the bag, wrapping them in padding material. Just in case, they decided to take 2 items this time. It is not yet known what effect this will have. The 3 of them jumped to another world and arrived in front of the shrine. At first, Mariel and Air were cautious, but they must have begun to think that it might be safe after all because they didn't seem as tense as they had been at first. Wataru himself was surprisingly not careful. He had no reason to believe that everything would be okay, but he felt a sense of security that made him not want to doubt it. Even though they had suddenly appeared, they still didn't seem to attract people's attention, which was strange. Sorry, but I'll pick up the garbage before I go over there. Okay. Air, I'll hold the bag, so will you pick it up? Got it. I'll use the tongs to pick up the trash. Although he had never cleaned this side of the shrine before, there were some pieces of trash lying around. For the time being, he couldn't understand why the Jizo statue and this shrine were connected. However, if it wasn't for those 2 warp points, Wataru wouldn't be here now. In that sense, he was very grateful and couldn't bring himself to leave it as it was. The 2 people moved quickly as instructed, and the large pieces of trash were soon gone. If the negotiations with Baron Mo go well, I'll make sure to clean up properly. I hope that the negotiations will go well this time and that Air's pride will be restored. I hope that her painful and sad past will be healed, even if only a little. As for me, I'll do my best, so please watch over me. Wataru prayed sincerely and silently. He had already received so much help. He didn't ask for more but simply expressed his gratitude. Do you believe in Ajizo-san and the god of this shrine, Master? Well, I don't know. I'm sure I'm very grateful, but I don't think it's the same as faith. Not many Japanese people worship a particular god or Buddha, and I'm not a particularly devout believer. I see. I thought it was a miracle caused by the faith of the wind god, Velniers. What kind of god is that? You said before that there was a temple of the sun god in this city. He had previously refrained from discussing it, thinking it better not to bring it up, but when Mariel brought it up, it was different. Velniers-sama is the god who mainly controls the wind, and from there, he also controls travel, trade, and commerce. He is not a main god like the sun god or the moon god, but because many merchants make offerings to him, there are many temples that are very wealthy. That sounds like it might be related to me. However, at the moment, it was not clear whether the Jizo statue and the shrine were related to this wind god. One of the reasons was that the shrine was covered in moss and dirt, so it was impossible to tell. In order to confirm this, it would be necessary to clean it next time. By the way, is there any information about which gods Mariel and Air worship? Oh, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to. I am a devout believer in the god of war, Oyuoru. My family worshipped the god of agriculture, so I still do. There are so many gods. I think I should study them properly next time. The polytheistic aspect of this religion fits in well with the Japanese view of religion, so he doesn't feel uncomfortable. Will there be dangerous people like fanatics among them? Because it's a sensitive topic, he feels uncomfortable not knowing about it. But that is not a problem either. Right now, the most important thing is to negotiate with Baron Mo and make preparations for that. Well, let's deliver the extra sugar to the Welcome Trading Company first. Yes. The three of them started moving quickly. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 26. Enjoy. TL. Alt. Chapter 26. Preparations for Departure to the Barony of Mo Part 2. By now, Watru had memorized the way to the Welcome Trading Company. As usual, they only walked along the main road, so there were no shortcuts. But their legs naturally carried them along. This time, they were in a hurry because they had other things to do, so the three of them walked at a reasonable speed. Hello, William-sama. Hello. Oh, Watru-sama. And Mariel-sama, Air-sama, welcome. You're dressed very strangely today. Are you going somewhere? Watru and the others are preparing to travel to the Baron's territory. They are wearing their traveling clothes, which are clearly recognizable as such. They have packed their everyday clothes as well as bread, cookies, and water bottles in case there are no places to eat along the way. Air, in particular, is carrying a huge backpack designed for mountaineering, as her strength will be put to good use. Actually, we're going to leave Minamifunmachi for a while to meet Baron Mo. I was wondering if it would be possible to exchange Air's recently acquired weapon. Also, if possible, I'd like to deliver some sugar to you first. Otherwise, it might be difficult for us to get in touch. I see. Thank you for your concern. It's been about a week since then, but how is the sugar progressing? It seems that it will be unveiled in the royal capital in a few days, so it will depend on the results. I'm also eager to know the results as soon as possible. So maybe the timing was right. It takes a maximum of 5 days for a one-way trip and 10 days for a round trip. If he feels like sightseeing over there's a chance he won't be back for less than 2 weeks. If he got an extra order and there was no stock, William would lose face. What can I do for you today? I brought 2 bags with me, just in case you get an extra order while I'm gone. I'll pick them up later if they're not needed, so I'll leave them here. Is that okay? Yes. In return, please give me some advice about traveling, as I'm not used to it. William understands the value of sugar better than anyone. William was surprised by Wataru's attitude of trusting him with such a large sum of money, but his face broke into a smile when he heard the next words. That's because he realized that it was just a gesture of goodwill. If it's only that much, I'll be happy to help. I'll take care of these 2 bags for you. We've never been to the Baron's territory before, so what would be the best way to get there? I think the best way would be to take a stagecoach, but I wasn't sure if there were any stagecoaches. Mariel's suggestion is the first mode of transportation anyone in this country would think of if they had the budget. There are horse-drawn carriages that run on the main roads out of the royal capital. They are expensive, but they have guards, and the horses and carriages are of good quality. They are a fast and safe means of transportation with many advantages. That's right, there are no stagecoaches. They run on the main roads, but the Baron's territory is off the main road. I see. I'm sorry, Master. No, it's a relief to know the way. Thank you. If there are caravans going out to trade in the Baron's territory, wouldn't it be good to join them? They must travel quite often. There are great advantages to traveling in a group with a caravan of peddlers. People can travel more safely and comfortably when they're together, and it's also easier to attract attention when you stop at places along the way. The only downside is that you have to stop at villages along the way, so it's not really for people in a hurry. This trip is not urgent, and there is no time limit, so it's not a problem. It's certainly better to prioritize safety. If you pay, you won't be inconvenienced, and because the group is traveling together, it's relatively safe. I also recommend buying or renting Hupos. Oh, that's right, Air recommended that to me. Is that so? It's perfect for carrying luggage and people. What about you, Wataru-sama? Do you ride horses? No, I've never ridden one, but Master was licked by the Hupos all of a sudden, so maybe you can ride one sooner than you think. My goodness. That's a rare talent. I'm jealous. Your shop's Hupos licked me all over, you know. His voice almost reached his throat. But Wataru stopped himself. It was his own fault for approaching the Hupos carelessly, not William's. It was wrong to blame him. There are several stables, but I'll introduce you to a place where I have influence. That would be a great help. It's not enough to cover the deposit for the sugar, though. Also, it's fine if you can do it after I get back from the business meeting. But I was thinking that I'd like to rent a house or a warehouse in this area. I understand. If you have any requests, I'll try to find a property that meets your needs as much as possible. I'm counting on you. As for my requests, Wataru told him to reserve a large house and a warehouse close to the shrine at a lower price than expected. By staying as close as possible to the place where he had been transferred, he wanted to avoid becoming a victim of purse snatching or other crimes. So, when you get back, you'll take a look at the property, and if there are no problems, we'll sign the contract, right? Thanks for the trouble, but I look forward to it. Not at all. It will also help me receive and deliver goods smoothly and contact you easily. Thank you very much. I should leave soon. We look forward to your next visit. Welcome again. Welcome. Hey, Air, that's rude. Yushishishishi. Wataru hastily bowed his head at the sight of Air's shout, following Williams. Goodness, the master is responsible for the slave. Stop doing things that are so embarrassing. He was so embarrassed that it felt like his face was on fire. I'll punish her later, he thought. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 27. TL, Alt. Chapter 27, Departure and Overnight Stay. They set off from Minamifumachi, following the main road. It was a caravan of about 50 people traveling from the royal capital to the frontier. The group that had left the Welcome Trading Company had rented a Hupos from the stables and successfully found the caravan. They were about to leave, so it was a lucky coincidence. Maybe it was the result of a good connection with the people, or maybe his luck had finally improved. The leader of the caravan was a man from the Rock Squirrel tribe, and his name was Marumaru. Although he was small in stature, only about the height of a child, his friendly manner made everyone feel at ease with him. One thing that surprised Wataru when he came to this world was that the appearance of the so-called demi-humans and beastkin varied greatly from person to person. There are some who look almost human, like Air, but there are also many who are covered in animal fur and whose faces look more animal than human. The average thickness of the fur also seems to vary from species to species. In Marumaru's case, the rock squirrel species was strongly expressed, and he looked like a very large squirrel. I never thought I'd be accompanied by the famous undefeated gladiator Air Dono, which makes me feel very safe on this journey. What a relief. Thank you for accepting my request so readily, even though it was so sudden. Not at all. I would have paid to have you on my side as well. What a relief. Marumaru stroked his head humbly. Perhaps because he is small, his gestures are large, his movements are somewhat comical, and he gives the impression of being cute. But this is also his own way of negotiating, right? Marumaru's business is selling jewelry and other ornaments. Merchants who deal in precious metals also handle large amounts of money. Naturally, they tend to be the most important people in the caravan. The possibility of being attacked also increases, so they need a lot of guards, and if they are just greedy, they will not be able to survive, and they will be ruined if they are not good at controlling people and have good nerves. Marumaru was surprisingly kind to Wataru. This was due to Air's fame and had nothing to do with Wataru's abilities. Air was a really good bargain slave, and Wataru changed his mind about that. For Wataru, the term gladiator doesn't really ring a bell, but if you imagine Air as an undefeated world boxing champion who continues to defend her title, you can get an idea of how amazing she is. Well, she doesn't look amazing at all right now. Wataru was in the middle of the caravan, riding a Hupos. It had a saddle, so it was okay if it just walked but not if it ran. Air walked beside him in a pitiful state. Master, I'm sorry Tilda, forgive me. Not good. Will have to go without a snack for a while. Mariel, we'll eat the smoked chicken breast ourselves. Understood? You're so stubborn. Master and I will enjoy it. No way Nyatilda, my favorite snack. Hangs her shoulders and ears and lets her tail hang down, looking sad, but she has only herself to blame. William is a reasonable adult, so he forgives her with a smile. But if she goes around doing this to everyone and spoiling their impression of her, it will affect her future. Or rather, if the person was a noble, wouldn't they be accused of disrespect? I'm pretty sure there was a word in Japanese that meant rude attack. He wondered if this kind of punishment would be effective, but it seemed to have been more effective for than he thought. Basically, the beastkin of the Golden Tiger tribe is not that different from humans in terms of what they can eat. They eat vegetables, and they can even eat garlic and onions. However, there are major differences in their food preferences. They prefer animal protein such as fishes and meat, and in Air's case, her favorite food seems to be smoked chicken breasts sold in supermarkets. You're going to work as a bodyguard, right? Then I'll forgive you sooner. Ha ha ha, even the undefeated gladiator Edono had a cute side. However, I think our bodyguard will make the first move, so please take the rear, Maru said. I'll do my best. My chicken breast. Is that girl really strong enough to be talked about by so many people? Wataru couldn't help but tilt his head in doubt. The first day of the journey had begun. Everything Wataru saw was new. Minamifunmachi was a so-called castle town, and it was surrounded by very high outer walls. Living in an area where monsters roamed, it was certainly necessary to have a protective wall. Once you passed through the main gate, there were no houses at all, so it was very open. For Wataru, who grew up in the city of Osaka, the sight of a few barns and then nothing but vast fields was something he had never seen before. Besides, it's not easy to see a large plain in Japan. As he rocked on the back of the Hupos, he gazed at the scene in front of him and never tired of it. But it's bigger than I thought. Is it? I think it's a very normal size for a caravan. Is it? It looks magnificent to me, Master. This gathering is fine. Mariel replies to Wataru's comment. Air also chimes in with a serious opinion. Unlike before, the gathering of 50 merchants means that dozens of horses and carts will pull the goods, as well as guards. There are also travelers walking with the caravan to ensure their safety, so it looks like a very large group. The plains stretch as far as the eye can see. I wonder how far they go. I've heard that the land is surrounded by the sea on all sides, but I've never heard anyone who's actually been the talk about it. Does Master like to travel? I don't know, but it's not bad to go somewhere far away with the three of us. That's true. I've only ever been to my hometown and the royal capital, but looking at the scenery like this makes me feel a little strange. Mariel looked into the distance. What was her hometown like? Was it a good place for Mariel to live? Maybe someday it would be nice to take Mariel and Air back to her hometown. The journey began in the morning, and after a lunch break, it was almost evening. Even though Wataru only sat on the back of the Hupos, the muscles in his lower back and buttocks began to ache. It was more difficult than he thought. The Hupos is very stable because of its 6 legs, but because its torso moves even when you are sitting on the saddle, you have to adjust your body to the distortions. It's not the same as sitting in a car with a reclining seat. I think I'll walk a little. Mariel, you must be tired from walking so much. Switch with me. Is that okay? Your slave, ride on the Hupos. I don't mind. I'm not the type to think about such things. Then, if you'll excuse me. Is it okay with her? She looks fine to me. I guess it's due to her body structure. Master, I'm tired too. But since I'm your bodyguard, I can rest when we get to the inn. I see. Thank you for your work. Mariel tried to look apologetic, but she was probably just tired from walking. As she mounted Hupos, she let out a tired breath. Wataru stamped his feet on the ground, which felt solid for the first time in a long time. They would reach the inn town by sunset, so it wouldn't be long now. Oh, is that what I think it is? It looks like it. There's no sign of anything attacking us, so I think I can finally rest. Well done. Make sure you get a good rest at the inn tonight. There are inn towns scattered at intervals of about 20 kilometers between towns where travelers can rest. Even though they are small, they have defensive walls and self-defense organizations, so it is possible to rest in safety from bandits and monsters. Wataru and the others who arrived with the caravan decided to find an inn right away. However, they encountered a problem they had not expected. What? We can only get a private room? Yes, the others are all taken. I don't think you can get a room at any other inn, either. If you don't like that, you can sleep in a big room with a bunch of other people, but what do you think? Well, I don't like that. We'd like a private room. Okay, here's the key. Food will be served soon. If you want a bath or hot water, you can pay extra, and we'll get it for you. I'd be very grateful if you could. Even though it's called an inn town, it's really just a collection of small, privately run inns. When a group of travelers, like a caravan, comes in, the available rooms are quickly filled. The owner didn't even apologize, as if he understood that the customers were in a bad situation. Watru looked at Mariel and he was going to sleep in the same room as these two beauties. Normally, Watru would be careful and sleep in a separate room, but tonight, it looked like he would have to sleep huddled together in a small room. Can he endure it? The aphrodisiac came to mind. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 28. TL. Alt. Chapter 28, Bath. When Watru was a student, he heard a story that, in the old days, only the nobility, samurai, and the rich could take a bath. Drawing water by hand and heating it with firewood requires a lot of effort. Even if public baths are set up for sanitary reasons, it seems that it is rare for there to be baths for individuals to use. Watru had never dreamed that he would have to pay for a bath with silver coins. But the innkeeper did not try to rip him off. Mariel and didn't complain either. The only question was whether Watru would be able to resist paying for the bath, but he had been moving around all day and was dirty with sweat and dust, so he felt uncomfortable. Despite his dissatisfaction, he decided to take a bath. My tiredness is melting away. Watru rinsed off the dirt on the surface with hot water and then soaked it in the bathtub. Since he had paid a lot of money, the bath was large enough for 4 people to stretch their legs and stand side by side. If it was a cramped bath like a Goemon bath, I would have something to complain about. The bath was surrounded by walls on all 4 sides, and the ceiling was open. Steam rose into the night sky, illuminated by the very faint light of torches and moonlight. Watru exhaled as he soaked in the bath. It was a sigh of admiration. Hey, you better wash yourself properly. I am washing. Aren't you washing your back, Mariel? Hey, stop that. The naked bodies of the 2 beautiful women were illuminated in the wash area and could barely be seen. Their gorgeous, undulating bodies caught his eye. The bath was so expensive that the 3 of them decided to take a bath together. The 2 of them must have felt a little embarrassed, but they agreed. The skin, which had become more moist from the hot water, reflected the faint light of the torches. The smooth, bare skin swayed with each breath. The sponge, lathered with soap, caressed Mariel's body as she sat. From her slender shoulders to her ample breasts, down her smooth back, and onto her plump, soft-looking bottom. Each time the sponge moves, the fluffy bubbles remain on her skin. The pink nipples and the depths of her groin would appear to be visible, depending on the angle, but they were hidden by the exquisite shading that made them invisible. It's a spectacular sight. As Watru watched without saying a word, Mariel lowered her head while hugging her body. Master, it's embarrassing for you to stare at me like this. I'm sorry. I was staring too much. No, it's okay. My body is already yours. If you're interested in my body, you can look at it. Oh, but I don't show it to everyone, so don't get the wrong idea. Watru turned away in a panic. But Mariel sighed. She wasn't angry. Who was sitting next to her and also washing her body, turned around. Her incredibly large breasts trembled. Damn, the bubbles are in the perfect position. Also, it's backlit, so it's dark, and I can't see some of it. I'm not worried about that, and I'm definitely not going to show them anyway. Then I'm relieved. But the bath feels good, but I don't want my proud ears and tail to go limp. This shows that she has a strong sense of possessiveness. However, it was certain that this scene would become a spectacle. 2 beautiful naked women wash their bodies side by side. That alone was a picture. Watru watched the 2 women washing for a long time, but shadows and mysterious steam kept him from seeing the important parts. Next time, let's take a bath together at home. If we've done it once, we'll do it again. After the 2 of them had finished scrubbing their beautiful skin, Watru tried to move to the larger washing area. Then Mariel and stand side by side next to the chairs. I'll wash your back, master. Please come this way. Please sit down. Oh, is that okay? You look tired, so I'll do my best to serve you. Serve. Is it because he is aroused that he imagines something lewd? Mariel is on his right, and Air is on his left. As they make bubbles with their hands, they touch his shoulders. Whoa. Oh, it's gotten bigger. Oh. Gulp. It's so big. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm a man too. When I'm offered such an attractive service, of course, I'll react like this. Foo, won't you embrace us? Is that something you can say? The words were like a challenge, and it made him tense up. But when Mariel's hand caressed his chest, he felt his strength drain away. We made our choice when we became slaves. That happened on the first day. Please don't say that. Anyway, Master, you seem to be hesitating about something, don't you? Having hit the nail on the head, he forgot his excitement and returned to his natural state for a moment. Now, the soft touch of a woman's skin felt distant. Because I'm too lucky. He felt guilty. If he had bought them with the money he had worked so hard to earn, he would not have been so careless. Or if he had spent the night in a brothel, he would not have been so concerned. But Watru bought slaves. From now on, he would spend a long time with them. Besides, I'm greedy. I know you can't refuse me, and I'm not satisfied with just having sex with you. What do you mean? I want to make you mine, not just your bodies, but your hearts as well. Oh, but there's also the passion that comes from putting our bodies together. Watru smiles wryly at Mariel's remark. That's also true. There are probably a lot of men who would jump right into bed with someone, and that way of thinking can't be denied. It's just a stupid man's obsession. Men like that sort of thing, don't they? I don't dislike it either. The first thing I can do is keep my promise to Air. At least I'll look trustworthy and ask you again. Oh, you're so cool, Master. In that case, I won't say anything. Well, I think it would have looked better if your lower part hadn't twitched so much. If you think that, then stop touching my chest and inner thighs so roughly. Watru's voice echoed in the bathroom. Trading Between a Different World and Earth. Volume 1 Chapter 29. Enjoy. TL. Alt. Chapter 29. Air's True Strength. Barehanded. It was the second day since they left Minamifunmichi. Watru was rocked in the hupos with a look of sleep deprivation on his face. The blue sky, the white clouds, the hot sun, and the lush green grass. Even such a refreshing landscape didn't make his heart jump, although he had declared that he didn't have such feelings yet. He was so excited about the prospect of sleeping together in the same bed that he couldn't fall asleep. The two slaves, on the other hand, were able to sleep much more easily. He felt weak and wondered if they weren't nervous about being attacked. Watru is a healthy man, so he has the desire to hold them both in his arms right now. At the same time, he wants to be a good master and a respected man. These things are compatible and do not contradict each other in Watru. Right now, the scales of these two feelings are balanced, but depending on how things go from here, they could easily tip in either direction. Watru continued his peaceful journey, dozing off from time to time. But it's peaceful. Isn't that a good thing? That is true. But the landscape is so unchanging. I can't wait to meet Baron Mo. Between the post towns, there is nothing but a vast plain. There are no fields, and the sight of nature itself was a novelty at first, but after 2 full days, they got used to it. Watru chatted with Mariel to pass the time, but Air was on guard, watching the surroundings. This was not surprising at all. Walking down the road from Minamifunmichi, Air performed her duties as a bodyguard with great diligence. Her work was reliable, unlike her usual laid-back attitude. Air stared into the distance with a squint in her eye. Over there. Something's coming. In the vast expanse of the plains, as far as the eye could see, there was nothing to indicate a threat. Watru was so surprised that it took him a while to realize what she was talking about. From a distance, a cloud of dust the size of a pea rose and gradually approached them. The guards around them seemed to have noticed as well, and suddenly, the area became noisy and the atmosphere tense. So big. It was an animal of enormous size. In Watru's memory, it was the size of a 10-ton truck. It had a single horn on its stocky body, and it came at them with a speed that didn't match its size, stomping on the ground with a rumbling sound. One of the guards shouted frantically, "It's a Gallidados! And there are 6 of them." "Not good, we can't even form a wall against them. Run, run. We'll try to distract them somehow. Those of you who can't fight, drop your baggage and scatter. If you get hit, You'll die instantly. One of the merchants shouted. No way. We can't just throw away our goods. If we do that, we'll be left with nothing. We will die. Even if we run as fast as we can, we don't know if we can escape. Damn it. What bad luck. One of the merchants lost his cool and tried to run away carrying his goods, but it was too heavy, and his steps were slow. If he was targeted, he wouldn't be able to escape. Oh dear, I never thought it would come to this. You should run as well. Marumaru came over and advised Wataru to evacuate. Wataru tried to follow his advice and run away, but before he could, Air said, I'll do it. Air? You only have a wooden sword. It's impossible. I don't need a weapon. I'm better off with my bare hands. Master, I'll definitely protect you, so please trust me. Wataru wanted to run away, but Air's serious eyes. To be looked into those eyes and told to trust her, he couldn't refuse. Fine, damn it, don't get hurt. I believe in you, don't worry, I'm the best. I'll prove it. Air faced the Galadados, pushing through the crowd that was fleeing in all directions. One of the guards tried to stop her. He was a warrior with magnificent armor and weapons. You idiot, run away. You'll be crushed. Air, you don't have to do this. Please just leave it to me. Is she really going to be okay? What if she gets badly hurt? There's no way she can fight that huge thing with her bare hands. Many thoughts come and go. Air starts running towards the leader of the Galadados pack. There is an expression that goes something like an arrow released. But Air's charge is even more than that. Like a bullet released, Air runs, kicking up the paved stone road and kicking a great deal of dirt and sand. She was only running, but it was clear that she was accelerating at an incredible rate. Air yelled, her eyes wide open. Hi-ah! Perhaps there is some mysterious power in the loud roar. As the Galadados are slightly startled, the speed of their attack slowed slightly. Air lowers her body and focuses on the largest individual at the front of the pack. The next moment, Air's body jumps up, and she grabs the Galadados' horn. Yara! Jayu! In the blink of an eye, the Galadados' neck twisted, and a strange crackling sound rang out. Its huge body sank down and slid across the ground at the same speed it had charged. Air had already jumped up and landed away from it. Without a sound, everyone was transfixed by the bizarre scene and stopped moving. Did she break its neck? Wataru, or perhaps someone else there, uttered the words in a daze. The monster, Galadados, must have been equally astonished. The prey that they had thought of as nothing more than food had unexpectedly fought back. It had defeated the leader of the pack in an instant. Shaken, the Galadados hastily changed the direction of their attack and ran off into the wilderness. Wataru and the others could only look on dazedly as they ran away. Only Air ran to Wataru's side, her chest puffed out with pride. She had a big smile on her face and skipped along like a child. Did you see me, Master? I did my best. Please praise me. So amazing. You're so strong. As expected from the undefeated warrior of the arena. Not that much, though. Wataru found himself clapping enthusiastically. The sound of clapping echoed through the battlefield, which was now filled with silence. The sound grew louder and louder, coming from countless hands. The guards who had been saved began to thank Air, and the caravan merchants followed suit. Air was embarrassed as she filled her hands with gifts of food and drink and words of thanks. I got a lot. That's great. You can have it all. Oh really? Yes. You worked hard for it. Yay. My master is so generous. But you can have some too. Just a little bit. Actually, she wants it all. It's hard to believe that the Air who looks like this has the strength of a fierce demon. Put your things down and come over here. Are you hurt? I have a first aid kit with potions in it, so don't be shy about asking. I'm fine. Well, I didn't know Air was so strong. Air is a talent worth 100 gold coins. Nah ha. That's because Master believed in me and let me go. Oh, that's rare. Air is blushing bright red. Ugh, stop it. Mariel was the one writhing around in the bath. That's something we have to keep to ourselves? I don't know anything about that. Air's face turns red when she's praised, but the truth is that her skills have just been seen for the first time. The story of the undefeated warrior in the arena was no exaggeration. If she had a weapon, how strong would she become? And how reassuring it is to be protected by someone with such skills. From now on, no matter what difficulties they encountered on their travels, Wataru had the feeling that they would be able to overcome them somehow if Air was present. Right, Mariel, please check that the item we're negotiating with hasn't been damaged by any chance. I understand. It's a fragile item, isn't it? Yes. I don't know how much it would be worth over here. And I don't want to have to go back to buy it again. Besides, you can have the smoked chicken breast. You did a good job. Chicken breast. Seeing so happy about a single food item that could be bought in a supermarket, Watru once again thought that she didn't seem that strong. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 30. TL, Alt, Chapter 30. Baron Mo's Territory, Stargazing Hill. The fourth day, they were able to enter the Baron's territory as planned. On the way, they separated from the caravan, but Maru Maru of the Rock Squirrel tribe was very grateful to them and treated them well until the end. Perhaps it was only natural for them to be grateful, but it was a nice feeling. They even invited Watru to eat with them, treated him like a king, and even left their name tags, saying that if he ever needed help, they would be there for him. Apparently, these name tags are like business cards in this world. Even though Watru and the Welcome Trading Company have a good relationship, it is important to make more connections. If he only has one place to rely on, he won't be able to escape if something happens. When they entered Baron Mo's territory, they noticed that the roads had been improved. The cobblestones were in good condition, and it was obvious at a glance that they were regularly maintained. Mariel and also noticed that their walk was easier. The atmosphere has changed somehow. It seems that Baron Mo's management skills are solid. Maintaining the roads takes a lot of money and manpower. In the long run, the positive effects of increased distribution will be greater, but most lords don't have the resources to do that. Is he famous for anything other than being a collector? Yes, he's quite well known in the country. His most famous work is his potato production. Potatoes? I'd rather have meat. Compared to Mariel's wealth of knowledge and insight, as frank remarks make Watru laugh. It's only natural that the daughter of an educated former noble and the daughter of a family that prides itself on its strength and produces guards and mercenaries would have different sensibilities. It's a matter of each person's sense of values, not a matter of which is right. Mariel didn't even look unhappy. She just smiled wryly and was taken aback. As they continued on their way, they arrived at the territory's capital, Stargazing Hill, just before dusk. Unlike Southern Ship Town, where the governor was stationed, the capital of a powerful lord was a different place altogether. The flow of people was intense, and in front of the main gate, many people formed a line to pass through the gate. Watru and the others were also questioned by the gate guards, and they entered the city. Wow! The atmosphere is so different. It's like a festival. It's really bustling. Sniff, sniff, there are many delicious smells. It smells like skewered grilled meat. People, humans, demi-humans, and beastkin all gathered together, pushing and shoving each other as they made their way forward. There were many different races crowded together, with winged races flapping and gliding overhead and shorter races like spiderkin at their feet. Then there were the carriages pulled by hupos, running one after another, and the flow of people and things was swift. Let's find a place to stay before it gets dark and see if we can meet the Lord. The Lord's mansion is over there, right? That's a huge building. It looks like it would be nice to go up to the roof. Really? I'd be scared, to be honest. Next time, I'll take you to Haruka's observation deck. The buildings of the Master's world. I bet the view is great. The fact that a large castle stood on a slightly elevated place made it easy to see where the Lord's residence was. It was a beautiful Western-style castle with a magnificent stone structure. Unlike Southern Ship Town, it was not only an administrative office but also a place to prepare for war. It really is magnificent. Mariel's somewhat envious murmur stuck in Watru's ears for some reason. Fortunately, a large inn in the commercial district had a vacancy, so the three of them took a room there, and then Watru and the others went to the Lord's mansion. The city is roughly divided into four main areas: the administrative district, the residential district, the commercial district, and the industrial district. In reality, however, the areas were not so strictly divided, and there were workshops in the middle of the commercial district, as well as buildings scattered throughout the various districts like mosaics. It seemed that there were many shops dealing with precious metals. After climbing the sloping hill and reaching the castle gate, prepared a letter of introduction. I'm sorry, but you can't meet the Lord. But I have a letter of introduction. Oh, is that so? I'm sorry, but the Baron is currently in the royal capital. He's not here. Is that so? Watru never thought that he would be away. However, there was also the possibility that they would have missed each other if the Baron had gone to the royal capital. It would be a good to stay a few days and consider it as sightseeing. It was also a chance to stock up on rare items. Do you know when he will return? He will be back in a few days, but the Baron is busy. I don't know when you can see him. I see. It's difficult to see him at all. As disappointment began to appear in Watru's heart, Mariel suddenly stood in front of him. The gatekeeper's expression softened as he smiled at the beautiful woman with her elegant appearance. She gently took his hand and handed him something from her pocket. We have brought you a valuable item. I am sure it will impress the Baron, so please do your best to arrange a meeting for us. Well, that is a noble intention, so I will do my best to arrange a meeting for you. Thank you very much. Mariel stood next to Wataru as she asked the guard to send a messenger to inform the inn. As they left the castle, Wataru thanked Mariel. Thank you. I would not have noticed such consideration. Did the master not like the fact that we gave the gatekeeper a bribe? I'm sorry for doing something so selfish. No, there's no need to apologize. If we hadn't done that, we might not have been able to meet with him. Watru himself did not think that giving a bribe was a good thing. Did his attitude reflect his feelings? If bribery becomes widespread, the rich will become even richer, and it will become difficult for the poor to even complain about their plight. However, he also understands that there is no point in complaining alone if the world works this way. There are also people like the Welcome Trading Company who are kind to as many people as possible. Before asking others to change, Watru himself should treat everyone equally. That's why I won't deny Mariel's current approach. If there are areas where I am lacking, please do as you see fit. Your judgment is my judgment. I trust you. I will do my best not to betray that trust. Mariel's eyes welled up, and she bowed deeply. Wataru thought he had somehow gotten through to her. Well, if you do something wrong, I will punish you properly, so don't worry. Master, that look on your face is a bit. My master has a really vulgar look on his face. It was just a joke. Maybe it was just his imagination that he had managed to get through to her. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 31. TL. Alt. Chapter 31. Rumors of Pickpockets and Baron Mo. While waiting for the Lord to return, they decided to explore the town. Watru and the others left the inn in the business district and decided to check out the shops in the area first. There were clothing stores, accessory stores, medicine stores, shoe stores, and bag stores. Each of these specialty stores lined the street, and there were restaurants in between. There were also food stalls set up in the small intersection, and they gave off a delicious smell. Although she had just eaten breakfast, I was already drooling and sniffing at the food stalls. I thought the same thing yesterday, but it's so lively here. Yes, it really is. No wonder it's an area directly controlled by the Lord. The people walking around here all seem to have a certain energy about them. Can I buy that steamed potato thing, too, master? Can't help it. Just one, though. Yay. Thanks. With a light step, Air leaves. Watru and the Mariel follow her, smiling wryly. But due to the crowd, someone bumps Watru's shoulder hard. Oops. Are you okay, master? Yes, thank you, master. Watru was easily pushed and caught by Mariel, but he was surprised when he heard Air's sharp voice. The next moment, Air ran through the crowd at high speed towards them. Then she grabbed the man who had bumped into Watru by the neck and pulled him to the ground. Gwa. What are you doing? Hey, you don't have to go that far. This guy is a pickpocket. Is that right? My wallet. Forgive me. Jawa. After a dull cracking sound, the man's arm was bent at an unusual angle. Air, with a stern expression on her face, had broken the man's arm. Watru couldn't tell if she broke it with her bare hands or with a wooden sword because the movement was too fast, but the result was that the man's arm was broken. This is going too far. Why don't we just hand him over to the guards? Watru considered a more moderate approach. But Mariel also looked at the man as if it were natural. The group of people watching from a distance also didn't seem surprised or judgmental about the incident itself. My arm. You're lucky she only broke one of your arms and didn't take your life. There won't be a next time, so go. Here, master, your wallet. I told you before, but you have to make sure your bag is closed properly, and you hold onto it tightly. I'm sorry. I was told that, but I'll be more careful. I was distracted by the food, too, so I'm sorry. When Air hung her head in shame, Wataru thought she was holding back. If she had wanted to, she could have killed the pickpocket instantly, like twisting the monster's neck. The fact that she only used one arm showed that she knew how not to make a problem out of it. The man was kicked away by Air and fled the scene on all fours. After that, the commotion seemed to end, and the people of the city returned to their normal routines, blending into the crowd. They don't arrest people for petty theft. Wataru was surprised by the difference in common sense and muttered as if escaping from reality, "I'll have some steamed potatoes too." The potatoes, a specialty of the area, were delicious. Compared to the potatoes Wataru usually eats, they were paler and whiter. The boiled mo potatoes were soft and melted in the mouth. The mo potatoes, generously sprinkled with salt and butter on the surface, were a violent mixture of salt, sweetness, and the aroma of butter, and they were delicious. Delicious, delicious. I'm going to eat some more. You have a sensitive tongue, Air, so eat it calmly. Hoff, hoff. It's hot but delicious. They sat side by side on a couch next to the food stand and nibbled at the potatoes. Whether fried, grilled, or mashed and made into a salad, they would all be delicious. I thought Japanese food was better, but the ingredients in this world can't be underestimated. Wataru was reminded of the possibilities of this world. If crossbreeding were done, new varieties could be created that were resistant to disease, that produced large harvests, or that were not dependent on the season or soil. When he thought about it like that, there was a good chance that even a single agricultural crop could turn into a treasure trove. Master, there's some food on your mouth. It's delicious. Sorry. Hey, you. Is something wrong? No, it's nothing. Mariel reached up to her mouth and flicked the food off with her fingertip, then brought it straight back to her mouth. Wataru's eyes widened in surprise and Mariel narrowed her eyes and flicked her tongue. Wataru, determined to make her regret it in the future, changed the subject. I think there are a lot of shops in this city that sell accessories. That's because the Lord is a collector. The plump lady at the stall answered his question with a cheerful clink. The question was clarified from an unexpected source. What does that have to do with anything? If a good ornament is made and the enchanter performs a wonderful enchantment, it will be added to the collection. Ha, I see. Maybe you can even become a retainer, so everyone works hard. Even if the quality is mediocre, the Lord will sell it for you outside. The Lord himself is also in the business? Ha, of course not. It seems that there are positions like retainer merchants who buy and sell things. Wow. He's amazing. Yes, ever since the current generation came to power, the economy of our territory has been booming. The Lord is amazing. Wataru swallowed his saliva as he listened to the old lady laughing happily. The Equal Trade Law. This is a policy that aims to stabilize prices and secure financial resources by reducing the middlemen's profits earned by merchants through the Lord's own trading activities. As an official, he would certainly be able to sharpen his economic sense by having his subordinates become merchants. The more outstanding Baron Mo was, the more difficult the negotiations would be. Wataru suddenly felt his throat tighten as he anticipated the severity of the upcoming negotiations. After finishing his steamed potatoes, Wataru went to the medicine shops. He bought potions for chronic illnesses. The potions he had sold to Ryota had been well received, and he would probably have to buy more in the future, but there wasn't much in stock at Minamifunemochi. This was because the potions for chronic diseases were sold at a reasonable price, and in most cases, they were used instead of the more expensive potions. It must have been difficult to mass-produce a potion that was expensive, time-consuming, and required magic. Wataru decided to take a look at the accessories the next day, but he had to change his plans on short notice. Baron Mo had granted him an audience. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 32. Enjoy. TL. Alt. Chapter 32. Exchange Conditions. The day after they finished shopping, the innkeeper called out to Wataru and the others as they were about to leave after breakfast to explore the town. According to the innkeeper, Baron Mo had agreed to give Wataru an audience and told them to go to the castle after lunch today. Even if Mo had returned yesterday, it was still the next day. There must have been many other people who wanted to see him, so he was surprised that he would be granted an audience so soon. He thought of all sorts of reasons, but it was only speculation. Right now, There was something he had to do in a hurry. In the room he had rented, Wataru changed his clothes and went in and out of the room several times. He went to a certain position and stopped. Please wear these clothes. When you are allowed to enter the room, stop at the designated position and put your hands together in front of your body. Is it like this? It's a strange pose. That's right. The palms facing forward are a sign that you are not holding any weapons. Stand a little straighter, and don't raise your face until you are allowed to. Keep your eyes on the ground. This is difficult. Raise your face. Yes. How is it? It's fine. Wataru lifted his head in response to Mariel's voice. As he was about to meet the noble, Wataru learned about etiquette from Mariel in a practical way. Mariel's former title as a noble was also useful in this situation. Normally, just learning the proper etiquette would cost a lot of money. The common sense and social norms of nobility and a wealth of knowledge. Considering all these added values, Mariel's fee was probably still too cheap. Normally, commoners are not expected to have such well-established manners. But the other party is a noble. If you are too rude and impolite, you will be punished, and even if you are not, it might affect the negotiations. If it weren't for Mariel, they would have judged me as lacking in manners. Thank God. It's a pleasure to be of service. The problem is, it's air, isn't it? Even on the same planet, etiquette could vary from country to country. Wataru had heard about it before, but it was quite difficult for him to actually dress up and move in the way he had been taught. While receiving detailed instructions, Wataru learns the etiquette of this country. Wataru looks anxiously at his other slave, Air. She yawns in front of her master, who is practicing so hard. She also refuses to accept Mariel's instructions. I have my own tribe's etiquette, so I'm fine. Well, as long as you don't get rude, I don't mind. We're going to get Air's sword back, so be careful not to offend the other party. Don't worry about that. Are you sure? Trust me. Yes, I trust you. The way she held her hands out in front of her and flexed her fingers did not show any fear or anxiety. She was so confident that it worried Wataru, but he had no choice but to trust her, and Wataru didn't have much time to spare either. After practicing a few more times, Wataru and the others checked their clothes and belongings and then hurriedly finished their meal before heading to the castle. Stop. We're going to check your belongings to see if there's anything suspicious. Thank you for your cooperation. These are very delicate and fragile items that we're going to show the Lord, so it would be very helpful if you could handle them with care. I see. I understand. We'll take your weapons here. I understand. At the castle gate, they were checked by the gatekeepers and allowed to enter the castle. Wataru was worried that might not be happy about having her weapons taken away, but to his relief, she handed over her wooden sword without any fuss. It was a surprisingly uneventful entry into the castle. My master underestimated me. I'm a mercenary, so I've talked to nobles before, and I know how to hand over weapons, you know. I see. I was wrong about that. Well, if I wanted to, I could just take their weapons away. Hey. Wataru was disturbed by the little voice that said something terrible. Well, at least she's not a lunatic who goes crazy everywhere. One of the gatekeepers stood up to lead them. So we're going to meet the nobles, huh? Just thinking about it makes me nervous. Normally, he would have been able to enjoy the unusual sight of the inside of the castle, but right now, Wataru didn't have the luxury of being able to do so. His throat was dry, and his heart was pounding. His head wasn't working properly, and all he could think about was how he had to be more careful. Soon, Wataru found himself in the hall, having already finished his greetings. He had been so desperate that he had lost his composure, but as soon as he thought that he had finally managed to do what he had been told, his thoughts came back to him. When the butler told him to raise his head, Wataru did so. His first impression of Baron Mo was that of a fresh-looking middle-aged man. He was slightly thin and had a chiseled face. His hair, which was a bit gray, was neatly trimmed, and his gray eyes seemed to shine. Thank you for taking the time to see me, Baron. My name is Wataru, and I'm a traveling merchant. Wataru, huh? I don't hear that kind of name around here. Yes. I'm from a faraway land. Right now, I'm mainly active in Minamifune town. As a collector, I always make it a point to meet the previous owners of the items I acquire. I can empathize more than anyone else with the pain of parting with the treasured possession. Is that the reason? I heard that you were in the royal capital and had just returned. I was wondering why my request for a meeting was granted so quickly. given your busy schedule. HMPH. I wanted to show off my precious collection, but everyone was more interested in the rare sugar. There was no information at all about the source, so I came back immediately, thinking there was no point in continuing. I see. Wataru was not sure how much information he should reveal. By not revealing the source, the person must want to keep it a secret and profit from it. Wataru didn't want to accidentally say something that would offend him. On the other hand, if he knew, it wouldn't be good to keep it a secret either. Wataru wondered if he should tell him, but when the busy Mo moved on to the next topic, he lost the chance to tell him where the sugar came from. I hear the reason for this meeting is Great Tiger Ice. It once belonged to my slave, Air. I heard the details when I bought it, and they were also written in the letter of introduction. Hey, what do you think? She is a formidable user. Even if we risk our lives, we will do our best to let the Baron escape. If possible, we would like to avoid a confrontation. Oh, is that what you would say? Although he was a low-ranking noble, Baron Mo had many fierce warriors under his wing. In particular, the knights who protected him were among the best, and Mo had complete confidence in their abilities. When he heard the answer from the knight protecting him from behind, Mo's expression showed that he had never seen anything like it. He then placed the Great Tiger Ice on the table. Very well. I was worried that it would be a waste since it was a gladiator who had fallen into slavery, but it seems that you have enough bargaining power. Is this the Great Tiger Ice? It seemed to be being tested. The sheath of the Great Tiger Ice is much larger than a Japanese sword. The curved shape suggests that it is a single-edged sword, and it is easy to imagine that the blade is quite large. The handle is probably made from the skin of some kind of monster, but Wataru cannot tell what kind. However, he could tell at a glance that it was very smooth and shiny. Even though he couldn't judge the weapon, which was still in its scabbard, the sword gave him an indescribable feeling of dignity and intimidation. His spine involuntarily went cold. How terrifying would it be if he pulled it out of the scabbard? Is this Air's beloved sword? How will Air react? Air, who was standing right next to Wataru, stared at it as if she was going to devour it, but she didn't move at all. The sight of her staring at it without even blinking made Wataru's heart sink. Even though she wanted to get it back right now, she desperately suppressed her urge. He wanted to somehow succeed in the negotiations and get it back for her. Wataru gathered his strength in his stomach and braced himself. Unlike Wataru, who was preparing for the negotiations, Mo was extremely calm. His nerve, which allows him to remain calm despite knowing Air's martial prowess, is not something to be taken lightly. Even though he is a nobleman, even though he knows that his own life could be in danger if the negotiations fail, he still maintains his composure. Mo's eyes move from Wataru and Air to Mariel. By the way, you look familiar. Could it be? Aren't you the daughter of the Hanover family? Yes, I am Mariel, and I am very grateful for your kindness in the past. I am now a slave of this Wataru-sama and serve him. I see. The Hanover family was ruined, wasn't it? Well, I'm glad to hear that you are not in danger. Wataru did not miss the fact that Mariel's expression had momentarily become pained, as if she was enduring something when Mo made that comment. Mariel's family name is Hanover, huh? He had no idea that he would learn her former family name at a time like this. Was it really a good thing that he had just found out? Even though they were in the middle of a conversation, he could not stop thinking about Mariel's information. I heard she only met you once, but you have an amazing memory. It's almost like my job as a lord to remember people's faces and names. Most people I meet I remember after seeing them once, and if they're as good-looking and memorable as your slave, even more so. I've never had the pleasure of meeting someone like Lord Baron, and it's a memory I'll never forget. Not only nobles but also people like Wataru who want to meet him will probably come every day. Looking at it that way, it's true that his job is to remember people. I think I've prepared an attractive product that will satisfy the Baron. Could I please buy it back? Very well. I can understand your desire to buy it back. I also wanted to get back a good item that I had to give up for some reason. Thank you for your understanding. However, I don't want to give it up without getting something in return. I think that's only natural. In return, I would like to offer you this. When Wataru was about to continue, Mo interrupted him and made a request. Well, how about this? If you are willing to exchange your slave Mariel for me, Then I will accept your terms. That's Watru was caught off guard by this unexpected request. He tried to think of a way to refuse without offending, but Mo continued to speak, cutting off Watru's escape route. Surely you wouldn't ignore the kindness of a noble like me, who is doing you a favor by listening to a request I normally wouldn't have to make. Watru's face broke into a sweat at the continued remarks. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 33, TL, Alt. Chapter 33, The Baron's Approval. A bad answer would make Mo unhappy, and he might be punished. Under intense pressure, Watru had to quickly gather his thoughts to figure out how to answer. He didn't want to let go of Mariel, but if he didn't, the lives of all of them might be taken. His rational mind and his emotions went back and forth like two sides of a scale. But if I betray Heir's expectations here, or if I let go of Mariel, I will regret it for the rest of my life. There is only one way that I will truly not regret. Watru made up his mind, suppressed his trembling body with his will, and bowed his head as he answered the question. I am truly sorry, but I must decline your offer. Master, do you know what that means? I'm truly sorry. Therefore, I humbly request that we negotiate over the artwork. Please forgive me. The man's voice began to mix with a chilling sound. There was no doubt that he was extremely angry. Mariel grabbed Watru's sleeve, trembling with fear. She was a former noble, so she must have experienced the horror of disobeying a noble's words. I'm sorry. You're afraid because of me. Behind Watru, Heir carefully scanned the area around them, ready to defend Watru and Mariel at any moment. Although the guard's words earlier were true, Heir also had to fight while protecting Watru and Mariel. Above all, the guards were well equipped. As opposed to fighting regardless of the damage, she could not be optimistic. Watru's face was drenched in sweat, and his limbs were cold. Nevertheless, he had no intention of letting go of Mariel. He bowed deeply again. I am well aware that this is impolite. Then why do you not understand? She may be beautiful, but she is still a slave. Mariel is a slave. But she's mine now, and she's not just a slave to me. I've only known her for a short time, but I think she's a wonderful woman. I have no intention of letting her go, no matter what it takes. Master. You think so highly of me? Mariel looked at Watru with a look of emotion on her face. But Watru had no time to waste. He had to read all of Mo's expressions, and if things really went badly, he had to move on to the next option. Mo's face looked stern, with furrows between his eyebrows. So you're giving up on the negotiations? I have the object of the negotiations with me. I want you to take a look at it at least once and make a decision. Could you please continue the negotiations? He cannot stop the negotiations. However, he also cannot accept the proposal. Mo stared at Watru with piercing eyes, but then his gaze turned to Mariel. Mariel-kun, are you living well with this man? Yes. He treats me very well. Are you being forced to live a life you don't want to live? If that is the case, he showers me with more affection than I deserve as a slave. Watru was moved by Mariel's decisive words. Although it had only been a short time, less than a month, Watru's desire for Mariel to live comfortably had certainly been conveyed to her. But this man works hard for his other slave, Heir. It doesn't matter. The master treats his slaves well and loves them without distinction. Is that so? That's the kind of relationship you have. Yes. Mo was silent for a while after Mariel's comment. It was not uncommon for slaves to be bought as mistresses or concubines. Sometimes, they would win the favor of their masters and end up as second wives or something while still in the position of slaves. Even in a master-slave relationship, it is possible for a man and a woman to love each other beyond their status. From his stern expression, it was clear that he was still in a bad mood. If this didn't work out, the worst that could happen was that he would have to borrow Heir's power and go on a rampage. As Watru's thoughts turned to the impossibility of a proper negotiation, Mo's expression suddenly relaxed. Ha ha ha, Baron Mo. Ha ha ha, I'm sorry. I guess I was a little rude. Mo's laughter relaxed the atmosphere. Heir had relaxed as well. The tense atmosphere that had emanated from the guards surrounding the Baron had also eased considerably. The real danger seems to have passed. If a girl I know is a slave, I thought I could take care of her a little. I had no idea that you two were in love. In love with each other. Awawa. What? Are you not? No. That's not what I mean. Well, that's right. Yes. I adore my master. If Watru says something unnecessary here, He will really have to let go of Mariel. At least Wataru is seriously attracted to Mariel as a woman. Mariel's pale face turned red, and she became visibly upset. Her grip on Wataru's sleeve tightened, and Mariel's agitation was also transmitted to Wataru. Not only that, but the feeling that things were going to be a case somehow made the tension that had been building up melt away, and he felt so exhausted that he felt like he might collapse. Why do important people always try to test people so quickly? Of course, he wasn't in a position to complain, but he wanted to say something. But what should be the conditions? I have heard that Baron Mo is also interested in collecting art. That is true. Personally, I am more interested in that. However, this sword is a very fine blade. Can you provide me with something that will satisfy me? I have prepared such a thing. Please take a look at it and then make your decision. Well, now that you say it like that, I'm starting to get interested as well. I'll give it a try, but if I'm not satisfied, then, of course, this conversation will have been in vain. I am well aware of that. Then that's fine. How much can he offer? Mo's eyes smile with amusement. Wataru hopes that the negotiations will go well and that he will not disappoint Mo. With a feeling of anxiety and also a strong premonition that things will surely work out, Wataru takes out a very small cylindrical object. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 34. TL. Alt. Chapter 34. Baron Mo's excitement. The cylindrical object that Wataru showed Baron Mo was about 10 centimeters long and 3 centimeters in diameter. Its surface was wrapped in brightly colored Japanese paper, which gave it a texture that prevented fingers from slipping. Mo's expression showed no particular sign of admiration as he took it in his hands without reservation. The unusual color and paper quality was certainly valuable, but that alone did not make it a valuable work of art. I've never seen paper like this before. The color is rather pale, I suppose. I'm not saying it's not valuable, but what's so special about this plain tube? Appearance is only a small part of its charm. Hold this and look into it from the end. Wataru gestured as if he was holding something up to his eyes. The appearance is only a bonus. Here, the real action begins. What do you think? What kind of reaction will this person have when he sees this? Mo looked into the tube as instructed, and his expression changed to one of astonishment. Look in. Whoa! What a vivid sight! The multicolored light is like a painting that has captured a jewel. That's not all. The tube can rotate. The scenery has changed. What is this? The more I turn it, the more new patterns appear. How many pictures are stored in here? Fufafu, he's surprised. Of course, he is. Wataru couldn't help but smile. He must have seen many pictures painted by skilled artists. The same goes for sculptures and embroideries. However, for the people of this world, moving pictures are an unknown experience. Well, the more you turn it, the more things appear. So I don't know how many there are. My goodness. I've never seen anything like this before. What in the world is this thing called? Mo's fresh, well-groomed face is flushed with excitement. Seeing him so excited and wanting to know the answer right away, Wataru is finally able to calm down. Yes, it is called a kaleidoscope. Mo repeated the word kaleidoscope over and over again, clearly impressed by Wataru's comment. I see. It's a beautiful sight, like 1,000 flowers blooming. Since it's called a mirror, does it use a mirror? T/N. The kanji for kaleidoscope is taken from comma, which also can be translated as 1,000-flower mirror. Yes, it does. It's made by a unique method, and it uses a material different from the mirrors you see here. The history of kaleidoscopes dates back to 1816, almost 200 years ago. They were invented by a Scottish physicist, Dr. David Brewster. They were introduced to Japan incredibly quickly, and there are records of them being used. 3 years later, it is a toy that shows a series of patterned mirror images by combining several mirrors and placing the original image you want to reflect behind them. It was originally an optical product. Wataru came up with the idea of using kaleidoscopes because he noticed that there were very few windows in the buildings of the other world. The fact that the technology for making glass is poor means that mirrors made of glass are not widely used either. When he showed it to Mariel and Air and asked for their reactions, he got a good response. He thought that Mo would probably like it as well, so he chose it as a candidate. But it was even more popular than he expected. After looking intently at the kaleidoscope, Mo nodded. This is wonderful. You're right to be confident. This is a product like no other in the world. I'm sure you'll be pleased with it. But what do you think? But it's not without its problems. Yes. What are they? The value of my side is too low. Watru's face clouded with surprise and fear as he wondered what kind of problem there could be, but he was relieved when he heard the next words. It would be better to at least get a higher estimate. I believe in doing business fairly. It's not good in the long run if one side benefits too much. But I've heard that Great Tiger Ice is a very special product. It's certainly a very good weapon. But it can't be compared to the only one in this world. Watru wonders if Air will be offended. He looks back, but Air is sitting calmly. Is that okay? Yes, I already trusted you once, so I'll leave everything to you, Master. Thank you. As long as it came back to her hands, there seemed to be no problem. However, her eyes were still fixed on her beloved sword. So you mean you will make some kind of compensation? Yes, but I don't know what to do. I don't want to give up any more of my precious collection. They are all things that I have a lot of affection for. It was a kind offer, but it also presented a problem that made him hesitate to answer. He wanted to take advantage of the situation and get a good deal, but if he was too greedy here, he might upset Mo, who valued fair trade. Above all, he still didn't understand what was needed. If Watru had known more about how the world worked, he could have suggested something appropriate for their lack. It was Mariel who came to Watru's aid when he was lost in thought. May I make a suggestion? Mariel, what is it? I think that Master will continue to search for and find rare items. Since the Baron collects rare items, it would be nice if we could sell them to him, but at the moment, it is difficult to travel from outside the territory, and it is also difficult to meet with him. So you want the freedom to visit the castle and a direct answer, is that it? But you know that this is not something to be granted lightly. Mariel nodded in agreement. In feudal society, in order to maintain authority, it was often not even allowed to give a direct answer. To allow it would be tantamount to the noble giving his seal of approval that the other party was a powerful being. It was only natural that Mo would not give his permission so easily. And knowing this, Mo also understood what Mariel was proposing. Will you be able to bring me things that will satisfy me without fail in the future? If it's my master, then definitely. You are trusted quite a lot. It seems like you've only known each other for a short time, but I wonder how you managed to gain such trust. Ha ha ha. I'm honored. There's no way he can tell the truth. He swallows the words that are on the tip of his tongue. Very well. If you insist on it so much, Wataru, you shall be my official merchant in the Mo territory. From now on, if you come across anything interesting, feel free to come and talk business with me. Yes, thank you very much. Watru replied, bowing deeply in gratitude for this unexpected kindness. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 35. Enjoy. TL, Alt. Chapter 35, Rumors in the Royal Capital. It was an evening 2 months after Watru had finished his initial negotiations with Mo. The banquet in the Royal Capital was large this time, and important figures who could influence the country, such as nobles and wealthy merchants, had all gathered. The tables were lined with a variety of elaborately prepared dishes, and the walls were covered with flowers. Some were dancing, while others were engaged in lively conversation. The purpose of the banquet was to bring people together, whether from the same faction or from different factions or positions. In one corner, the nobles who were talented, well-educated, and had the same interests gathered. When people gather, conversations naturally arise, and information is exchanged. Recently, the royal capital was abuzz with rumors. One day, a surprisingly refined sugar of unknown origin was suddenly unveiled, and the next day, a work of art that had never been seen before appeared. What on earth was going on? Everyone was straining to listen and gather information, wondering if something big was about to happen. And the man at the center of it all that day was Baron Mo. A handsome middle-aged man, Mo was dressed in a well-tailored suit and commanded everyone's attention. Everyone wanted to hear what Mo had to say, and they wanted to see something rare. At that moment, a man was holding a kaleidoscope that had just become the talk of the capital. He studied it intently, peered into it, and exclaimed in wonder. Attracted by his voice, another enthusiast gathered around. Oh, is this the rumored transforming picture that is said to be the only one in the world? How beautiful! It looks so simple on the outside, but don't you add any decorations? The essence of this artwork is when you look inside. A flashy exterior would get in the way of seeing the beautiful interior. I see. You're right. The kaleidoscope had changed its name in the rumors, according to Mo's explanation. Even when looking at the same thing, the way it is explained shows the characteristics of the person. When it spread to the royal capital, the explanation of the transforming picture was passed on. For people with the same hobby, the valuable things of others that they cannot obtain are things that they cannot help but be curious about. Where did Baron Mo get this transforming picture? If you don't mind, I'd like to know the merchant's name. It seems that he was a wandering merchant who happened to come to our territory on business, and he doesn't have a base here yet. However, I've heard his name, so I'll tell you. I think his name is Wataru. That's a strange sounding name. I wonder if he's from a faraway place. Probably. He looked a little different from us. There is nothing more satisfying for a collector than when his collection attracts attention, and he is able to explain it. Because they collect for their own satisfaction rather than for money, they become more particular about the value of their collection. It was heartening to see the nobles of a higher rank than themselves agonizing over their inability to obtain rare items despite their power. But that was only until the next moment. The host, who had been preparing several lines of people for the banquet, finished his greeting and walked over to where Mo and the others were. The group, who had been deep in conversation, suddenly stopped talking when they saw the person who had arrived. Well, may I see it too? Your Majesty. He was the fifth king of the Hermes dynasty. I never thought the king himself would take an interest. Although Mo was a man of both courage and confidence, the difference in power was too great. Although he would not make any mistakes, he had to think and wait for an answer, which forced him to be somewhat nervous. The king's name was Joseph, and he was 46 years old at the time. He had a commanding presence that seemed to emanate from his entire body, and his reign was unshakable. He avoided unnecessary foreign expeditions, and while he emphasized diplomacy and domestic affairs, he also reformed the legal system and worked to increase the country's power. There is no doubt that he was a great king. He is also blessed with an heir, and it is said that the crown prince born to his first wife is healthy and intelligent, so it seems that the royal line will be secure for generations to come. One of the few things about Joseph that is truly rare is his love of the unusual. I knew he would be interested when he heard about this. Now I wonder what value the king will place on this rare item. Your Majesty, I knew you would be interested. Fufafu, ever since I heard about it, I couldn't help but want to take a look at it. I thought about how much I wanted to get up and come over here during the story. My wife looked at me like that, so I couldn't help but stay in my seat. Joseph raised his finger to his eye. The queen was a good wife who often helped Joseph. In this case, it was probably Joseph who had the problem, but no one paid any attention. Everyone had gathered to watch the kaleidoscope, so, haha, I'm grateful that you have such high expectations. How about it? Would you like to take a look right now, Your Majesty? Joseph nodded at Mo's suggestion. He immediately picked it up and turned it over to examine it. He must have already heard what it was because he eagerly lifted the kaleidoscope and peered into the tube. This is beautiful. Indeed, its ability to change shape in any way is worthy of being called a kaleidoscope or a phantasmagoria. I agree. When I saw this, I was truly surprised that there were such mysterious things in the world. I had no idea that such a wonderful thing existed. Your Majesty, is something wrong? I want it. There it is. His Majesty's few bad habits have begun. Mo had to resist the urge to frown at Joseph's words, which he had muttered without thinking. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 36. TL, Alt. Chapter 36, The Prosperity Brought by Kaleidoscopes. Joseph's bad habit is that his greed as a collector is too intense. He wants what he wants at all costs. It is not an exaggeration to say that Joseph cultivated his high political ability as a good ruler to satisfy his collecting habit. To satisfy his strong desires legally, he had to be willing to pay a sufficient price. Even a king who can exercise his authority can be overthrown if he is too tyrannical. Only by ruling with moderation will he be able to indulge his hobbies without being punished. Your Majesty, this is a very rare item, and the merchant who sold it to me said it was one of the first ever made. I don't know why, but he said it would be impossible to reproduce even if it were taken apart. I would like to prepare it for you, but I think it will be difficult. My goodness. It's so precious. I've never seen anything much like it before. I've also never seen paper made of this material. Who in the world is this merchant? I didn't know either. He said he came from a place far, far away. He might even be an angel sent by God. A secret treasure from a faraway land. An angel sent by God. Joseph mumbles to himself and looks into the kaleidoscope. Even King Joseph would give up if he heard that much. As a collector, he would never give up his precious collection unless something really important came along. Both Joseph and Mo are collectors with similar interests. As collectors, they often bring each other their prized possessions to trade, but at the same time, they know there are things they will never give up. With that in mind, Mo tried to stop it by saying, "I have no intention of giving this up." But Joseph's eyes were fixed on the kaleidoscope, and there was even a hint of madness in them. "I want it, I want it, I want it at all costs." For a collector, nothing stimulates desire more than something that is said to be impossible to obtain. The fact that Baron Mo had indirectly told him that he had no intention of selling it had only served to increase Joseph's desire. "Baron Mo, I have a favor to ask of you. I know it's impossible, but I really want you to sell it to me." "Your Majesty, I said I don't want it." Mo was about to refuse, but Joseph announced the terms so quickly that he didn't have time to finish his sentence. "You wanted a post in the Ministry of Internal Affairs before, didn't you? How about the position of Deputy Minister?" Joseph's words caused a stir. The Ministry of Internal Affairs is Japan's equivalent of the Ministry of Finance, and the minister is called Lord Minister. The position of Deputy Minister is below that, and it is a great honor to be appointed to such a position at the heart of the government. "What? Am I to be appointed Deputy Minister?" "Yes, I believe you are more than capable of the position." As expected, the words of refusal stuck in his throat. He involuntarily swallowed his saliva. He hesitated between his desire not to give up his precious collection and the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity he was being offered. There was no precedent for a baron becoming a Lord Minister. T/N, I'm not really sure about this. It's either he was appointed as the next minister or deputy minister. For those who have read The Roar, please let me know about this. He would probably be promoted and rewarded with additional territory. "No, but if you're too greedy, you'll end up offending people." At that moment, everyone around him thought that he shouldn't say that, but of course, no one was going to speak their mind to the head of the country. It was certainly an unimaginable possibility. He also once had the ambition to reach the top of the heavenly stairs as a man. At the same time, he also felt a sense of pride that made him wonder if he could really part with the precious and valuable items he had collected. The greed of a collector and the reason of a politician fought within Mo. But just as a collector's greed was about to prevail, Mo was suddenly inspired. "May I ask you a favor?" "I will consider it." "When it comes to expanding the territory, could you please consider Minimifune Town?" "Minimifune Town? I see. The Baron's territory is adjacent to it, so you're considering not only the land routes but also the river trade routes leading to the royal capital, right?" Minimifune Town has a good location and is an excellent base for defense and trade, but it has been unable to make the profits it would like due to a lack of good governors. Joseph thinks this is one reason, but for Mo, it is just one of several that come to mind instantly. Expanding the distribution network, increasing the amount of transportation using the river, and increasing profits by lowering tariffs. That merchant must still be based in Minimifune Town. The main reason was that if he could get his hands on Minimifune Town, he might be able to track Watru's movements. He must still have some valuable items. Even if he had to give up one of his collections, he would still want to see, touch, and obtain more valuable items in the future. If he thinks like that, it would be better to use Joseph's greed to further his own career. Very well then. I will take this. After making the necessary adjustments, the royal decree will be delivered. As King Joseph gazed at the kaleidoscope in his hands with a look of ecstasy on his face, the people around him whispered to each other. Some were frustrated that the item from Mo was being valued instead of their own precious collection, while others were greedy, thinking that if they could find something new, they too could make a name for themselves. There were also many who wanted to know the whereabouts of the merchant who had sold the valuable items. However, there were several factors behind this great selection. Mo's power had grown too much compared to his rank, and the balance had become unbalanced. In addition, Joseph's extremely good business sense was only one of the things that encouraged Joseph's greed. Even if the next person showed a precious gem, there was little chance of receiving the same response. With my newfound success, the possibility of acquiring more valuable items in the future has greatly increased. Meeting this merchant was truly a blessing from heaven. Behind his refreshing smile, the Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs, Mo, is a man with great desires and many plans. His only miscalculation was that because of the kaleidoscope that led to his success, he was later called Lord Kaleidoscope instead of Lord Collector. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 37 TL, Alt, Chapter 37, Loyalty and Affection. Baron Mo issued a permit to enter the castle, a kind of pardon, and handed it to Wataru. On the smooth parchment were Mo's own signature and coat of arms, as well as a note allowing Wataru to enter the castle and pass through the gates with priority. Carefully, Wataru accepted the precious object, which was rarely issued, and placed it in his pocket. Well, in exchange for this kaleidoscope, I will exchange the permit and the sword of your slave. Certainly. If you don't mind, may I check the contents here? Of course. I'm counting on you. If I pull it out carelessly, I might cut my hand and hurt myself. Yes. It is never allowed to pull out a weapon in the castle without permission, but the contents must be confirmed as genuine. This is different from whether you suspect the other party or not, and it also means confirming that the negotiations were completed without either party having any doubts. She must still have had some doubts. However, acted with dignity, took the great tiger rice placed on the table, and pulled it out of its sheath with a refined movement. The flow of the series of movements, which she must have refined again and again since her youth, seemed to Wataru to be far more beautiful than a kaleidoscope. Yes, this is definitely the sword of our clan. Thank you, Master, for restoring my pride and the pride of our clan. I'm so glad. Yes. She must have been overcome with emotion. While she tried to keep her composure as much as possible, Air's voice was shaking. Her eyes were moist, and her face was flushed. The sight of her head bowed and her shoulders trembling was something that touched even Wataru's heart. It must have been a precious time for the busy Mo, but he was not the kind of man to interrupt a conversation, so he drank his tea quietly and watched as Air calmed down. Eventually, the shaking stopped, and Air looked up with a very bright expression on her face. Until now, her cheerful attitude and speech had given no hint of her sadness, but it seemed that she was still feeling a great deal. Wataru reflected that he hadn't even noticed. This time, don't let go. Work hard. I will serve you with all my heart and soul. My body, my mind, even my soul are yours. Hey, you don't have to go that far. No, I've made up my mind. Air knelt on one knee, bent low, and bowed her head. It was a family custom handed down from the Golden Tiger tribe, different from the Knight's Oath. Wataru thought it was a serious declaration. She was saying that she would dedicate her life to her master. Just as Wataru was about to give her a chance to reconsider, thinking that she might be overthinking things, he received unexpected support from Mo. It would be rude to refuse. It is said that the Golden Tiger tribe never betrays their master once they have chosen one and pledge their loyalty with all their strength. Is that so? Yes. However, they are proud of their strength. In particular, it is said that an excellent warrior like your slave chooses the master they will serve, and once they have chosen, they never change their minds. Many people want to have the Golden Tiger tribe as their vassals, but even if they can hire them with money, they can't get their hearts. I bought them without knowing anything, but that's the way it is, isn't it? You are an interesting man to be able to make such a Golden Tiger tribe swear allegiance to you. If Air hadn't become a slave, if Wataru hadn't followed William's advice and gone to the slave trading house, if Air's beloved sword hadn't ended up in the hands of Baron Mo, perhaps none of this would have happened. Now, thanks to a series of coincidences and small strokes of luck, Wataru has earned Air's unwavering loyalty. He worries whether he can be a worthy master for this loyalty, but the fact that he could help in this way made Wataru happy. Now, I would like to show you my many precious possessions, but unfortunately, I am very busy. I have given you a priority, but there are still many things I have to attend to. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Oh, it was a very meaningful time for me as well. If you like, I would like you to enjoy a tour of my territory. It may not be as good as the royal capital, but I think you will enjoy it. I need to look at some accessories and buy some medicine. This time, He had changed his plans at the last minute. After finishing his negotiations with Baron Mo, he had planned to go around the city again. He wanted to get his hands on at least some of the ornaments that the local industry was putting a lot of effort into. Is that so? Have you visited Stargazing Hill yet? No, I don't know about that. It's a famous place in my area. It's less than half a day's walk from here, and strangely enough, monsters don't approach it. It's considered a sacred place. So that's why this town is also called Stargazing Hill. That's right. At night, you can see an amazing star-filled sky, and it's popular with couples. It is said that if you are accepted by the gods, you may receive a blessing in the future. That's amazing. Well, since no one has actually received a blessing since I became the Lord, don't have excessive expectations, and if you have time, you should go. Well then. See you. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you again. Me too. After saying that, Mo told his attendant to call the next visitor. He seems to be very busy. Led by the guards, Wataru and the others went back to the castle. They were able to conclude the negotiations successfully. Wataru got the permit and was also able to recover Air's weapon, which was his original goal. There were some worries and strong pressure on the way, but it ended well. He felt refreshed, and his heart was full of joy. He had time to look at the stonework and the layout of the corridors in the castle and the garden that could be seen from inside, and he enjoyed the sights and the air as he made his way to the exit. Mariel, who followed him, and Air also seemed to be in a very good mood. Then, as they walked down the slope after leaving the gate, Mariel and Air suddenly hugged Wataru. Mariel hugged him and looked down, embarrassed, while Air had a big smile on her face. He could feel the softness of her breasts on his shoulders. He was thrilled by the sight of their beautiful faces filling his field of vision. Thank you, Master. I love you. What, Air? I love you too. I was so happy when you told Baron Mo that you wouldn't let him have me. I was so touched by your determination. Mariel, too? Wataru was surprised by this sudden confession. Thank you for getting my sword back. The way you were able to negotiate with the Lord as an equal was really, really cool. I couldn't do that, so I fell in love with you. I see. It's nice to be able to express your feelings so directly, but it's also a little embarrassing. You're just pretending. That's not fair. Mariel, Master, you didn't deny when Baron Mo said that you and I were in love. Can I believe that? Oh, of course. Besides Air, who blushed with excitement, and Wataru, who blushed with the sudden confession, even Mariel blushed with embarrassment. Foo. Mariel's shyness is no good. First come, first served. Master, I'll give you a kiss. Hey, I won't lose. Right after Air placed her soft lips on Wataru's cheek, Mariel also kissed him vigorously. Even though she was blushing, Wataru felt more joy than embarrassment as he felt the softness on both sides of his face and was overwhelmed by the sweet smell. He had been afraid, too, but it had been worth it. If he could win their affection, he would surely be able to face any danger without fear. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 38. Enjoy. TL. Alt. Chapter 38. Cheers. It was dusk. The sun was setting behind the hill, and the sky was turning red. Baron Mo's castle cast a deep shadow against the setting sun. What a beautiful sky. Thinking about it now, I didn't have time to enjoy the sky like this. Thanks for your hard work. Negotiating with a nobleman must have been really hard. Thank you, my lord, thank you very much. Well, looking back, it's been a good experience. And if we want to sell good products in the future, it looks like we'll be dealing with nobles more and more. Wataru and the others walked down the street, watching the sky gradually turn from red to evening. This was a busy street in the business district. Craftsmen who had finished their work were coming and going. Some were going to the bath, some were going home, and some were disappearing into the restaurants in the business district, but they were all going in different directions. The dim and bright lamplit shop signs each had its own specialty, from beer mugs to steaks, sausages, fish, soups, vegetables, and hot pots. They hadn't decided which shop to go to, but they were in the mood to eat a lot of good food. We're going to eat a lot today to celebrate the success of our business negotiations. That sounds fun. Me too. I'm going to eat too. As usual, it was a noisy scene, but one thing that changed was the distance between Wataru and the two girls, which became much closer. Wataru and the girls looked for a place to eat, intertwining their arms and holding hands, touching each other's bodies to the extent that they didn't get in the way of people passing by. It should also be noted that the wooden sword Air had been carrying was now replaced by her beloved sword. Air's back, which had been somewhat lacking, now has a single line running through it as a warrior. If anyone with the ability to sense danger knew this, they would never approach Watru's group carelessly. Suddenly, they noticed a savory smell wafting through the air that whetted their appetites. It was a smell that made them salivate involuntarily and stimulated their instincts. The smell seemed to be coming from a shop on the main street. It smells really good. What is it? I think it's meat being grilled, but I wonder if they use herbs as well? I think it's marinated meat. I'm sure of it. You can tell by that. You have a great nose. The Golden Tiger tribe has a good sense of smell, so we don't let our prey escape. Which is better, a dog's nose or a wolf's? I lose to them. But I'm the strongest. I understand. I don't doubt that point. When Air insists, Watru strokes her head. Her smile, which is more of a giggle, is cute rather than beautiful. Then she presses her head into his palm. When he tickles the cartilage in her ear, he can see Air's eyes glaze over. She's beautiful when she's quiet and has a calm expression, but when she talks like this, she seems a little childish, and her cuteness is more noticeable than her beauty. Master, it looks like this is the place. I'll ask if there are seats available. Please do. It smells so good in here, it must be crowded. Please wait a little, Air. I've asked you to be guarding our master. Leave it to me. Watru feels reassured by the way Mariel enters the shop without hesitation. When it comes to negotiations, Mariel may be more skilled than Wataru. She is quick-witted and has a great ability to act immediately. However, as a slave, she always puts her master, Wataru, first. Both are very important women. Apparently, there are still vacancies if they don't mind a small private room. When they entered the restaurant, there were indeed wooden chairs lined up in a small room where people were huddled together. It was small but by no means dirty. Every nook and cranny had been carefully cleaned, and even though they were cooking meat, there was no sign of sticky oil. That alone made a good impression. The waiter came to take their order, and they ordered the recommended menu. The highlight was the herb grilled meat, which was the source of the smell that had wafted outside. They were told that the seasoning was an original sauce that had been aged in the restaurant. They decided to order beer to drink. It was said to be low in alcohol and could be drunk like water, so even people who don't drink much could drink it. Without waiting long, the food was placed on the table. Well then, a toast to Air's sword. A toast for Master's permit. Cheers. What was placed on the plate was a thick piece of meat that had been grilled with herbs. The surface was charred, and the meat was so soft that the knife seemed to be absorbed into it. When the meat was cut, the juices came out from the inside, and the fresh aroma of the herbs and the savory aroma of the meat came out at once, making one want to swallow. It's delicious. It's full of juice, but it doesn't smell greasy at all. This is delicious. Delicious. Triple A, Master. Oh, Triple A. It's kind of embarrassing. Master, your face is all dirty. Your mouth is dirty, you know. Oh, sorry. Here, I'll do Mariel this time. Triple A. Oh, come on. I'm your slave. It's my job to take care of you, but... What's with the face? It's nothing. You look happy, Tilda. Here, eat up. Thanks for the food. It was fun to eat meat while huddled and laughing in a small private room. It was Tupu-Tupu's meat. Tupu-Tupu is a four-legged wild animal that lives near water and is a large animal that weighs about half a ton. It has a very gentle and docile personality and lives by eating aquatic plants and undergrowth. As a wild animal, it has an exceptional taste and is highly regarded by meat lovers for its low odor. As they ate the meat and moistened their mouths with the light alcohol, their conversation flowed. The topic that became the center of their conversation was Air's sword. Isn't it the treasure of the clan? Yes. It is given to the strongest warrior. What kind of ability does it have? Listen closely, Master. Is it like this? Yes, that's right. Lick. Watru's ear, which was close to Air's face, was licked. The sound of the lick made Watru's neck tingle, and he jumped. He looked at Air in surprise, but Air smiled. Master, you can't say such things in front of other people. You must keep it a secret. I see. That's right. If people find out about your ability, it will be easier for them to counter it. While keeping his pounding heart in check, Watru remembered something. It seems that the secrets of famous swordsmen are often hidden from outsiders. The more you know about your opponent's skills and swordsmanship, the more you can plan countermeasures, and the more you will be at a disadvantage. That's why you surprise them by catching them off guard or gain the upper hand by keeping your techniques secret. At least it wasn't a question you could ask in a shop you'd never been to before, where you didn't know who might be listening. So if you want to know, it's at night, in the room, okay? Oh, I'm going to teach you a lot of things, not just about swords. Oh. He swallowed his saliva because Air's way of speaking was so seductive. He had a slightly guilty conscience. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 39. TL, Alt. Chapter 39, Air's circumstances that Wataru does not know. It is said that Osaka has the highest proportion of non-drinkers in Japan. There are various theories as to why this is, such as the relatively mild climate or the fact that the blood of foreigners who came to Japan in ancient times was mixed in, but Wataru is no exception and is not a strong drinker. Alcohol in this world is basically low in alcohol content, although distilled alcohol exists, and if you have a high tolerance for alcohol, you can drink as much as you like without getting drunk. But Wataru's face was already turning red. As the alcohol began to take effect, his thoughts became a little hazy, and he began to speak without restraint. But if Air, who is already strong, gets her sword back, she'll be unbeatable, right? I'm definitely the strongest in the world, but that doesn't mean I have to be careless. There are many strong people in the world. Really? If you don't mind, tell me about them. I don't know anything about such things. For example, there is the Black Wolf tribe. When Wataru repeated the words Black Wolf tribe, Mariel added some more information. They're a tribe that's famous alongside the Golden Tiger tribe. They're said to have wolves as their ancestors, and their hair is as black as ink. Compared to the Golden Tiger tribe, who are famous as individual warriors, they're said to be good at working in groups. I don't think I would lose in a one-on-one fight, but if they target me in a group, I would be in trouble. They have good noses and stamina, and they'll keep coming after you. They were near my hometown, so I've had a few run-ins with them. You have a history with them? She said with disgust, biting off a piece of herb grilled meat. Her large canine teeth were visible, and she looked very frightening. It seems they are a species to be wary of. Also, the strength and endurance of the bear tribe cannot be underestimated. They are one of the few species that could defeat me in a fair fight. Bears, huh? They are strong, aren't they? Yes. I beat them in the arena, but my hand went numb. Still, I drank a potion the next day and was fine. Wataru was speechless at the incredible content of what she said so casually. However, since both of them had to fight for their lives, it would be wrong to blame her. If she had lost, Air might have died. What kind of opponent would Air, who had killed that monster with a single twist of her arm, have to fight to the point of exhaustion? The boughs of the forest people are tough even in the forest. They can shoot through the eye of a needle, even if their vision is poor. You mean the forest people are the elves? With the long ears? Yes. How do you know that? You have a lot of knowledge about strange things, Master. You also showed an interest in the apothecary. Well, I just know somehow. Wataru was unable to answer because he couldn't say that he knew it from games or novels. They might find out and realize it one day, but there was no need for him to go out of his way to tell them. If you think about it like that, Air is strong, of course. But you can't let your guard down completely. Yes. Especially when I'm fighting alone, but it becomes much more difficult when I have to protect Master and Mariel. That's true. Numbers are strength, so if I'm honest, I'd like to have one or two more people. I wonder about that too. Even now, with Air and Mariel living with me, I'm already stretched to the limit. If I have to take on more people all at once, it might be too much for me mentally. If I buy a slave, I'll have to take care of her. And even if I hire a local, there's a good chance there will be friction because of our different positions. At the moment, I don't think I can give my nod to Air's wish. Still, the world is a big place. There are all kinds of people from different races that I've never seen before. If you go to the capital, you'll find many different races gathered there, so I think you'll be able to meet them. All kinds of people came to the arena, Air said as she looked at the cup she had carved from a tree. I have a request. What is it? Since I haven't been able to train much since I became a slave, I would like to train seriously for a while. It's okay if there's no business to take care of. That would be a great help. Thank you. Well, will you be able to protect me as much as possible when we're here? I think I'll be safe most of the time if I stay in Japan. Yes, I'll take care of that. I will stay by your side. It'll be hard to protect you, but I can at least act as a shield. No, that won't work. If I'm safe and Mariel gets hurt, I won't be able to stay calm. In that case, I'll protect you. Wataru has no doubts about Japan's safety. There are bound to be some truly unfortunate incidents, but even so, there should be no cases where he is attacked. As long as the existence of the potion did not become public knowledge and he did not become famous, there was no need to worry about it for the time being. If Yota were to slip up and say something, it would only be a tall tale if it was just one person. However, if Wataru and Mariel were attacked, he would definitely want to protect them. The master-slave relationship was not a factor in his calculations. Yes. So don't worry. Mariel nodded but didn't answer, keeping her head down. At an angle Wataru couldn't see, her eyes were moist. After finishing the meal, they drank all the ale. They finished the meal a little tipsy. The food was very tasty. When they return, they would like to use the restaurant again and also learn more about the ingredients of tapu-tapu. Wataru paid the bill in a good mood and left the restaurant to return to the inn. Wow, I ate so much. I'm so full. All that's left is to take a bath and go to sleep. No, master, you forgot something important. Oh yes, that's right. Wataru, who was sitting on the bed and stroking his bulging belly, tilted his head in thought, unable to think of anything. He was gently pushed onto the bed by a hand on his shoulder. He let out a scream, and the bed springs caught him, and the ceiling spread out before his eyes. The faces of the two beautiful women were lined up and looking down. They both looked as if they were preparing for something, and their faces were still red from being drunk. Tonight, I will receive your mercy. My body and soul are already yours, so you can do whatever you want. The night is still long. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 40. Enjoy. TL. Alt. Chapter 40, Aphrodisiac. Wataru, who had taken a bath first, was sitting on the bed in the inn, looking restless. Since there was a shared bath for men and women in this inn, he had said that he wanted to wash off the sweat, and they had decided to go in separately. Since there was no particular reason to refuse, Wataru stepped out of the bath and waited for the time to come with nothing special to do. The alcohol had completely left his system after soaking in the hot water. The pants of the pajamas he had brought with him were already tinted. He had a love potion with him that he had bought from a pharmacist. In the slightly dark brown bottle, a highly viscous liquid bobbed up and down. It was said that this thick liquid would bring out a woman's pleasure, relieve her pain, and make her feel happy. Yet it was extremely gentle on the human body, and there were no side effects to suffer from afterward. The lady at the pharmacy explained with a grin that it was so popular that even the prostitutes in the red light district used it. She added that it was especially good for women who were doing it for the first time, as it would take away any pain or discomfort. Wataru understood exactly what the shopkeeper was thinking and hesitated to buy it. On the one hand, he felt that there was no need to use such a medicine, but on the other hand, he also felt that it was okay to use whatever was available. It was Mariel and Air, not him, who would be in pain from holding them. Thinking about it that way, he wondered if there was any point in clinging to his petty pride. Even if he bought it, whether he would use it or not was another matter, so Wataru put it aside and bought the aphrodisiac. Now, Wataru was still wondering what to do, but then he heard the door open and looked up. Oh, Air, I'm up now. That was a nice bath. Mariel's flushed skin was moist and alluring after her bath. Even Air was embarrassed, and she looked around. The two of them wore robes, but their shapely bodies were clearly visible through the material. Wataru swallowed hard when he saw the naked bodies he had seen when they had been in the bath together. They were both beautiful women who were rarely seen. Wataru's body stiffened as he thought about holding them in his arms. Mariel, unaware of Wataru's change, noticed the bottle in his hand. Oh, you prepared that for us, didn't you? The naughty medicine the master sneaked off to buy from the pharmacist. Oh, yes. I was wondering if it would be better if you took it. Why is that? He's making a terrible mistake. Realizing this possibility, he stares intently into Mariel's face. You prepared for this, didn't you? If you hadn't, we would have asked you ourselves. Is that so? Is that how it works? Mariel, it looks like Master still doesn't understand our situation. Oh, that's right. For some reason, when Mariel gives him an oh dear look, it makes him feel a little annoyed. It's not that she's stupid, she's actually quite intelligent. Besides, Watru really wants to know what the situation is. The differences in common sense between the worlds are greater than he thought. I think Master probably doesn't think it's a good idea to force us to take medicine. Oh, is that so? Yes, that's right. In my world, there's a word for having sex while using marijuana or stimulants instead of an aphrodisiac, and it's considered a criminal act. Huh? Master, are you trying to make us do something that is a criminal act? Mariel's eyes widened in surprise. Air covered her face and looked as if she couldn't believe it. Watru had to quickly correct the misunderstanding. No, don't get the wrong idea. I heard that this medicine doesn't cause any problems, so I thought it would be better if you took it. After all, the aphrodisiac in this world doesn't cause any problems, and everyone takes it, right? Right, yes, Master. What is it? Give it to me. You're worrying too much. Who had walked up to him, held out her hand and encouraged him to give her the bottle of aphrodisiac. When she took it, opened the cap and tilted the bottle. The viscous aphrodisiac flowed out and into Air's mouth. Swallowed the aphrodisiac, making gulping noises as she did so. No problem. Here you go. Master, can I have some too? Okay. It's sweet and thick. It sticks in my throat. With a drop of saliva running down the edge of her lips, Mariel gently wiped it away with her slender fingers, then licked and sucked her fingers, making slurping sounds. This made him imagine that she was licking his own thing, and he was mesmerized. The reaction was dramatic. Air shook her body, and a sharp projection appeared on her bathrobe. She rubbed her knees together, and her eyes sparkled. She licked her lips and looked at Watru as if he were prey. The two beautiful women walked up to Watru. He felt the softness of the female flesh as they pressed their bodies to his left and right. A sweet, whispering, or hoarse voice vibrated in his ears. This is dangerous. My body is tingling. Master, help me. Master, my body is hot. I didn't know it would work so fast. Are you okay? I'm not okay. Please, calm me down. Hey, Master, quick. Heavy breathing fills the room. Sweet sounds and provocative words fill the ears. The thread of Watru's patience snaps as he is looked down upon with a seductive look. The night is long, and only the stars know what the three of them are doing. Trading between a different world and Earth. Volume 1 Chapter 41. TL. Alt. Chapter 41. Ozra Market. The morning after his first experience with the two girls, Watru was lying on his back in bed, looking pale. His back and head hurt. The damage from overdoing it and drinking too much was taking its toll on his body. He woke up later than usual, and it was far from early in the morning. He overdid it last night. Oh ouch. Are you all right, Master? Would you like a potion, Master? Thank you. Unlike Wataru, Mariel and Air's expressions were bright and radiant. They looked even sexier than yesterday. They were still smiling happily when they received Wataru's gaze. When he opened the bottle of potion that Air had given him, Wataru thought that their stamina was too different. Mariel and Air were in a state of excitement because of the aphrodisiac. Wataru had to deal with two people alone. The difference in burden was too great. Air, who boasted of her inexhaustible stamina, was still very active, but Wataru was still left with a deep sense of fatigue. The next day, is it okay to use potions for something like this? Despite these thoughts, he wanted to get rid of the pain in his body right away. The hangover was especially bad. He decided to take it like a headache pill. There are different kinds of potions depending on their effects. There are three main types: rapid acting for acute conditions, slow acting, and general purpose for chronic conditions. These are then ranked according to their quality, with the best being made by the best craftsmen in the best places. The potion Wataru drank was a cheap, rapid-acting one. As you might expect, he didn't feel like using a high-quality one because of the cause. As he drank the potion, he could feel the pain slowly disappear. The rapid-acting potion was a little more expensive than the chronic potion, but it worked surprisingly fast. Even though it was mainly used by soldiers and adventurers to treat battle wounds, it was surprisingly fast. Are you two okay? Yes, thanks to you. I feel a little weird though. Nyahi, it felt good yesterday. Let's do it again, Master. Well, Mariel, who seemed embarrassed but fine, blushed. Air was very open. However, if you look closely, her eyes are slightly red, so it seems that she's not completely fine. You're probably putting more strain on your bodies than I am, so if it's too much, don't hesitate to tell me. I'll take your word for it. I'm really fine. It looks like Master is feeling better after drinking the potion as well. Even though he had enjoyed himself so much last night, his lower body was bulging. However, this was a natural physiological phenomenon for a man, not a sign of lust. Thanks to this, he was able to calmly deal with Air's mocking smile. The pain has subsided, so shall we have breakfast? I'd like something light. Let's have soup and bread for a light meal. Would you like some coffee? Yes, please. Coffee is one of the few luxuries that Wataru has brought with him to this other world. If he doesn't drink enough caffeine every day, he can't get motivated. This tea seemed to be decaffeinated, so he wasn't satisfied with the taste. Or is there some other kind of drink I don't know about? People have been drinking various plants as tea for health and taste. It's not at all strange that there are other teas besides the ones William introduced him to. Searching for such food and drink was one of Wataru's pleasures. After a late breakfast, Wataru and his companions left the inn and walked through the city. Now that they had completed their main negotiations, their main goal was to purchase the goods they needed for trade. Of the goods they needed to purchase, they had managed to get a reasonable amount of medicine. Medicines for chronic diseases are especially expensive and time-consuming to produce, so it is difficult to get a large quantity from a single shop. After visiting several pharmacies in the city, it seems that in order to make regular purchases in the future, it will be necessary to ask the Apothecaries Guild to place regular orders. However, it would be more efficient to do this at the guild's home base in Southern Ship Town rather than at Stargazing Hill. Now I just need to find some accessories with granted skills. There's no place that sells them. They all seem to be taken to the capital. There were many shops that sold accessories, but the products with granted abilities were more strictly controlled than he had expected. The territory was working together to export them outside the territory. There must be some shops that are not lax in their discipline, or in other words, greedy, but so far, all the shops on the main street have firmly refused their request. After repeated trips to the stores, all they got was a string of rejections, and it was starting to get to them. I guess we'll just have to give up. Even if they grant the ability, we don't know what effect it will have on us. I heard that some of them make you feel sick or reduce your abilities, right? Yes. Maybe we should have asked the Baron to help us. There are probably some places that deal in them, like old merchant houses. Without a letter of introduction and without any intention of getting to know them, it seems difficult for Wataru and the others to buy them from the shop. At that moment, Air suddenly shouted, "That's it! I've got a good idea." "A good idea? You have a good idea?" "Yes. Today is a day that ends in 10. There's a market." "A market? I see. That's a good idea." Mariel nodded with a satisfied expression, while Wataru didn't understand what she was talking about. Wataru decided to listen to the details. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 42. Enjoy. TL. Alt. Chapter 42, Bargain. Ozra Market is located in Stargazing Hill Town, which has a large open space. Since there were a lot of people gathered there and there was a lot of traffic, it was easy to notice if you went near it. There was a guard standing there, collecting a stall fee of 2 copper coins, which was very cheap. There was no charge to the buyer. The outer perimeter was surrounded by ropes and tarpaulins, so it was impossible to enter or leave except through the designated entrances and exits. This was probably to prevent unscrupulous people from setting up stalls in hiding and to prevent theft and pickpocketing. Some people set up tents, others set up tables and display their wares, and others spread out straw mats and sit on small chairs waiting for customers. The nature of the stalls is extremely diverse. There are so many people here. The square looks big, but there are even more people. It's like visiting a New Year's shrine or market. On the 50th, markets are held in most cities. Anyone can set up a stall and sell whatever they want as long as they pay a participation fee. I see. Then this is the place. Yes, I think we'll be able to find the accessories we're looking for. That was a good suggestion. Well done. Hey, Master, pat my head some more. Alright, alright, alright. When Wataru patted her head, wagged her tail happily from side to side. She said that she could move around in this world without worrying about her tail at all, so she felt comfortable. Ozra Market is a good fit for a society with a well-developed guild system. Guilds are gatherings of craftsmen and the merchants and are a mass of self-interest. Guilds are responsible for preventing inferior products from being sold. If someone who is not a member of the guild continues to handle and sell the goods, they can even be sanctioned, and they have the right to self-government. In Japan, this would be the equivalent of a trade association. Basically, you can do any kind of business in Japan, but some things like medicine, dangerous goods, and second-hand goods are controlled by the government. The main difference with guilds is that each craftsman forms his own organization and manages these things. I wonder why the government doesn't control these things? If they don't have a unified system, there will be a big difference between regions. I think it's because the lords are too powerful. Oh, I see. Heir's comment was an eye-opener. Unlike modern nations, in this world, many nobles each rule their own territories. Since authority is dispersed and each person has his own responsibility, it becomes difficult for the country to manage things unilaterally. This is why the Lord is putting so much effort into the Ozra market. The guilds want to make a profit. That's why they try to control the prices as much as possible and don't allow other people to interfere. As a citizen, if you don't need the goods you bought for any reason, you can't sell them. Even if you take them to the guild, they'll probably only buy them for a small amount. The role of the Ozra market was to revitalize the distribution of goods owned by the citizens, create a flow of money, and while controlling the guilds, it had many advantages, such as collecting participation fees. For this reason, the Welcome Trading Company, which does not discriminate between customers or types of goods, has great potential for growth. Not only people from the city, but also people from the surrounding villages come here to sell their traditional goods. You're sure to find a bargain. If you see something you like, not just accessories, let me know. I want to get my hands on as many good things as possible. Okay. I'll do my best to find something. Once they entered the Ozra market, they would have to continue searching for the shops they were looking for while going with the flow. They had wanted to discuss what kind of things they needed beforehand, but unfortunately, Wataru didn't know what would be profitable. There was no choice but to buy the most promising things and try them out. When it was time to go inside, Heir leaned her body against Wataru's back and hugged him lightly. The overwhelming softness that Wataru felt on his back. Wataru remembered the softness and texture of the marshmallows he had enjoyed so much last night. It was a softness he could have touched forever. Before Wataru's thoughts could travel to the land of eternal happiness, Heir began to pester him. Master, I want you to buy me one too. Heir, you're so brazen for a slave. But, I want one. Mariel wants one too. Right? That's not it. It's just to keep other men away, you know, because I'm a slave. Hey. Your face is all red. Mariel, who is always serious, and Heir, who is always trying to have a good time, are always making fun of Mariel. This is becoming a familiar scene, but there is important work to be done. Wataru cannot let them continue like this, so he claps his hands to get their attention. That's enough, both of you. We'll think about it if you do a good job. If you do a bad job, I'll put a collar on you instead of a ring. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cause you trouble, Master. No, it's not good for you to be so scared. I was only joking, but... well, it's not a bad idea to put it on at night as punishment. Collar. Whip. Stop just before with aphrodisiac. I was only joking. Wataru said it with the intention of making it sound like a joke, but the two of them didn't take it as a joke. This is probably a problem of the strength of the influence of words depending on the relationship between master and slave. Even if it's a joke, the risk of being taken seriously is too great to ignore. Mariel's face was downcast and she was shaking. I must have really scared her. I'll have to be careful. He felt he had to deepen their relationship even more than before. He regained his composure and walked to the entrance. After bowing slightly to the guards and passing through, the area was suddenly filled with the noise of a festival. The shouts of shopkeepers and customers negotiating with each other could be heard everywhere. Well, let's take a look at the stalls. I also like to go to shops like this. That's right. It's exciting to think you might find a bargain. What if there's a really valuable item being sold for next to nothing to someone who doesn't know its value? I'd pretend I didn't know and buy it. Yeah, well, in the world I live in, there are a lot of opportunities to sell things for a lot of money, so I'll be actively looking for products. Okay. Air, I'll leave the shopping to you, but I also need you to act as a bodyguard. Sure. Leave it to me. For now. They decided to take a look at the small items sold by the man they saw as soon as they entered the market. They had a hunch that they might be able to find something good there. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 43, TL, Alt. Chapter 43, Ozra Market Relic Negotiation. The streets of Ozra Market are packed with people. But even so, there are places where there are lots of people, and it's easy for customers to notice you, and places where it's not so easy. It's the same principle as the big difference in the density of stalls at the New Year's Fair, depending on whether you're in the prime location around the shrine or on the outskirts. The first stall that Wataru and the others set their eyes on was in that prime location. It was at the corner of a wide street, just inside the entrance, with the products laid out on a mat on the ground. The man selling the goods looked to be in his late 30s. He had a full beard and was muscular, and at first glance, he looked human. You'd have to look at the small ears sticking out from the sides of his head to tell the difference. What kind of race is he? He's small, so he can't be a big beastkin. The man called out to the customers in a clear, resonant voice. Come on, come on, come over and see. To see is a momentary loss, not to see is a lifelong loss. You, young man, you've come to the right place. You're lucky to have two beautiful women with you. You're going to buy a wonderful product for your companions. You won't regret it. We're having a special sale right now. What do you think? What are you selling? The rhythmic, rhyming sales pitch is so good that Wataru can't help but look at the products. He thinks it's a clever trick, but he doesn't feel bad. The shopkeeper extends his hand to the products lined up on the straw mat. Several sparkling bracelets are lined up. The surface is finely engraved to form a magnificent design, and there are also many small jewels embedded in them. You have listened well. This is a precious treasure left in an ancient ruin far to the west. Open your eyes and look closely. The exquisite carvings and beautiful jewels. This is a great achievement of an adventurer. If you wear it, you will be protected from disease. It has a magical effect that can ward off all kinds of diseases at once. Wow, that's amazing. It wards off disease? For an artifact, it's in good shape. The craftsmanship is very detailed and the workmanship is excellent. The metal is probably from the Viltai Empire. It has a distinctive spiral pattern. It looks like it would be better if Master wore it. That's right. You don't see such a treasure every day. It's a precious item that was probably worn by the king of the ancient Viltai Empire. The shopkeeper's words became more passionate as well. Wataru was very attracted to its ability to prevent disease. Now that he didn't know what kind of illness he might get in the other world, it seemed like a very effective ability. Mariel and Air didn't seem to doubt it either, so it was clear that this was a world where such effects weren't absurd. First of all, if it was a mysterious thing, it would go back and forth to the other world. Wataru's resistance to things outside of his common sense had greatly diminished. Mariel and Air also enthusiastically looked at the products and touched them to check them out. What interested him was the price. How much would something like this cost? So how much does it cost? The price is a whopping 10 gold coins. It's cheap. 10 gold coins? That's expensive. No, no, if you get sick, going to the doctor and taking medicine will be expensive. You can't risk your health and life. That's true. If you get sick suddenly, even if you go to a doctor, you don't know if you'll get better. A mild cold is one thing, but there are many different kinds of illnesses, and there are also many cases where the illness is life-threatening or leaves serious after-effects, such as a brain hemorrhage. If you think this can be prevented, then it wasn't an exorbitant price, even if it was expensive. However, if this product really has that effect. The Ozra market is not run by guild-affiliated shops in a fixed location. Anyone can participate at a low price. Even if you realize it's a fake and rush to find the shopkeeper, there's a good chance they'll be in hiding by then. The guards will probably catch the scammers red-handed, but it's not clear how far they'll go in pursuit of the runaways, especially if they flee to a foreign territory. There's no way the investigation will reach them. Listening to the peddler's speech was fun, but it was a mistake to add that to his evaluation. Is it real? The possibility of it being fake seems pretty high, but at the same time it has an atmosphere that makes it seem real. The thing that bothers him is that the bracelet itself, without the ability to grant, seems to be of sufficient value. The fact that it doesn't look like a cheap item at first glance also makes it difficult to judge. However, it's only worth about the value of a gold coin. It's completely disproportionate to the amount of money he pays. The price always includes the ability granted. Wataru leans in close and squints, observing to see if there are any clues to give him confidence. I don't know. But what he doesn't know, he doesn't know. Determining authenticity through appraisal requires vast knowledge and experience in superimposing the object before one's eyes. A deep understanding of technology, history, and culture inevitably requires long-term study. Wataru lacks both knowledge and experience. For example, if it were an effect that greatly increased one's power, it would be easy to find out by trying it on. However, it is very difficult to prove the ability to prevent disease. In that case, it would be a gamble to either believe the shopkeeper's words or doubt them. Even if it was easy money, it would be frustrating to be cheated, and he did not want to get into the habit of wasting money. It was only natural that Wataru had trouble making a decision. While Wataru was lost in thought, a large crowd of customers gathered in the market. The other customers were attracted by the sales pitch and gathered in front of the shop. Feeling pressure from behind, he became increasingly impatient and felt the need to make a quick decision. Come on, big brother, make a decision quickly. There's a line behind you. People are tired of waiting. There are many customers who want to see and buy. You have to make a decision now. To be honest, I can't tell them apart. Mariel, what do you think? Tell me what you think. I don't know. I'm sorry, master, let's come back another time. I don't want it to be sold out. It's okay. Let's go. I'm sorry. As you can imagine, 10 gold coins is not an amount that can be paid immediately. Let me think about it. While Wataru and hesitate to make a decision, Mariel decides to return later. The shopkeeper tries to stop her. But if there is a choice between the two, Mariel's words definitely take precedence. The shopkeeper looked disappointed that the nearly concluded business meeting had been put on hold, but reacted. Her nose twitched, and her ears flicked in the shopkeeper's direction. The sight of her long golden tail swaying back and forth in a regular motion was a bit strange. After Wataru and the others left the shop, another customer who had been watching the scene began the next round of business negotiations. I wonder if I did the right thing. I may have missed a chance to make a profit. For the time being, they blended into the crowd and moved to the edge of the area where there were fewer people. Is this okay? Why did you decide to come back later? After they entered a space where they could take a breather, Wataru decided to ask Mariel why. Author note: Viltai Empire, an ancient Western dynasty that established a vast territory. After its fall, a number of small kingdoms arose in the Western countries, and a long period of conflict followed. Due to the constant fighting, research and technology developed in areas such as battle methods and tactics, which also led to the birth of superior metallurgical technology. It is also known for the activities of extremely powerful mercenary groups such as the Golden Tiger Tribe and the Black Wolf Tribe, trading between a different world and Earth. Volume 1 Chapter 44. Enjoy. TL. Alt. Chapter 44. The Viltai Dynasty and the Acquired Ornaments. The Great Sky Market flourished, and even now, many people still go there. T/N. Ozra Market has been changed to Great Sky Market from now on. Sorry for the inconvenience. In order to get the item you want, you can't spend too much time talking. Mariel thought about Wataru's question for a while and then began to speak. There was a mistake in the explanation the man gave. That is not a relic of the Viltai dynasty. Is that so? I don't have the knowledge to judge whether it's true or not. Yes, it's a common misconception, but the metal called Viltai was not developed by the Viltai dynasty. It is said that the refining method was developed about 100 years later. Really? How does Mariel know this? It is knowledge that anyone who has studied history at the academy in the capital has learned at least once. It's a question that always comes up in the test. Wataru smiled wryly at Mariel's dismayed expression. which reminded him of his own test preparation. It seems that students everywhere are busy studying for exams and frantically memorizing things, especially for nobles who might be involved in diplomacy. There is a lot to learn about the history of other countries for their future work. In Mariel's case, she fell from a noble position and was unable to use this knowledge, but the knowledge came in handy in an unexpected place across time. Watru nodded and continued. So the shopkeeper didn't know about it, and that's why he said something so careless? Probably. Of course, it's also possible that the bracelet is real and the owner is just mistaken, but either way, I think his reliability has decreased. I understand. 10 gold coins is not an amount of money you can easily spend. If the ability to be free from disease is real, it's actually quite cheap. If you're a noble, it's not surprising that you can pay 100 gold coins. However, since the Great Sky Market is also open to ordinary people, it's hard to say that there is no possibility at all, which is a bit of a problem. I see. Well, since it's fallen off my priority list, I'll look for another bargain first. The chances are slim, but it's not impossible. It's better not to take a chance, but part of him is attracted to the idea. If there were at least a few more reasons to reject the idea, he could move on to something else without regrets. Air's tail flicked Watru's back, who furrowed his brow and thought, "Master, I think he's lying." "Is that so?" "Come to think of it." His expression looked grim half the time. "When we were about to leave the shop, I smelled a bad odor and felt his heartbeat increase. I think he panicked." Air can tell things like that too? "Yes. If you can tell what someone is thinking just by their smell or their heartbeat, that's a pretty scary story. There's probably no better bargaining chip than that." And yet Air nodded nonchalantly. "In a fight, I can often tell when the other person is about to attack, so it's useful." "That's amazing. Maybe I should ask Air's opinion from now on when I'm negotiating." "It's not like it is always like that, so it's dangerous to trust them completely. There are people who use perfume, or who lie and deceive you without showing any change in their heartbeat. There are also people like Baron Mo who don't seem to be affected at all. So this time it was different." "Yes. That man was shaken. I think he was desperate to sell it quickly." "Okay, I give up completely. Let's look for the next item." Time passes while Watru worries. In order not to miss another chance, he has to change his attitude and keep looking at the shops, and when he sees something he likes, he has to try to negotiate. The more times you try, the higher the chance of success. He really wanted to find a treasure here. However, Watru's emotions can easily be seen on his face, and he is not a man with a completely unshakable heart. I think Air might have heard everything. There is nothing to hide now, but it is embarrassing to think that she knows his innermost thoughts. "By the way, I also understood that Master felt horny towards us. You reeked of lust." "Fufafu, I couldn't read that much, but I could tell that Master was staring at our breasts and butts." "What are you doing? Hurry up. We'll be in trouble when the items run out." Watru didn't let them talk anymore and quickly disappeared into the crowd. Mariel and Air looked at each other and smiled, then hurried after him. How many stalls did they visit? Air's goal was right on target. The people of this town and the surrounding villages were selling ornaments that had been given to them in exchange for money or that had been made with some kind of trick. Prices ranged from a few silver coins to a single gold coin. The fatigue resistance, low, and strong legs, low. Items sold by a former wealthy farmer were probably intended to improve the efficiency of farm work. The strength enhancement, medium. Bracelets sold by the stonemason appeared to have been sold to pay off debts, and it was possible to obtain them at a price much lower than the market price. Probably because the seller was looking for immediate payment. That was a great job, Air. Thanks to Mariel's help with the negotiations, we were able to get them at a much lower price than the market price. I'll get you the things you want later, just like I promised. Yay! I'm looking forward to it. What's more, these ornaments were certified to have been made by a grantmaker in Baron Mo's territory. Forging these certifications would carry a heavy penalty for falsifying official documents. Since it was not a dubious product whose authenticity was unknown, Watru immediately decided to buy it. Now, Watru wore a strength enhancement bracelet on his left forearm, a fatigue resistance ring on his finger, and a strong leg band on both feet. Since he was not one to decorate himself much, the feeling of wearing them was quite strange, but he wanted to keep wearing them when he thought about the effects. They're all so easy to use that it's hard to decide which one to use. I think you should keep going to the market and eventually go to the capital to stock up. Yes, I think I should choose one for myself first and then just sell the rest. But the capital, huh? I've always wanted to go there. From the beginning, the capital had been one of the places he had considered while searching for Ayre's sword. It was a place where goods and information were gathered, so it was only natural that he would eventually visit it. I want to go too. I've been there before for the gladiator shows and didn't like it at all, so I want to go sightseeing. Well then, I'll show you around. Yay! I love you, Mariel. Ara. Foo-fa-foo, there's still work to do. Ayre hugged Mariel with a smile. Just seeing the two of them, who seemed so close, was enough to heal Wataru's heart. Even though they looked different, Wataru thought they were like sisters. The search for more items to buy continued. Although the shop was located in a busy part of the city, there were not many customers. Perhaps it was the atmosphere that subconsciously kept people away. If Wataru and the others had not been thinking about looking around from one end to the other, they might have just passed by. A languid beauty sat on a chair, watching over the shop, and only one item was placed on the table. A beautiful, shiny necklace was displayed on a soft cloth cushion so as not to scratch it. The necklace radiated an indescribable charm, and Wataru and his friends naturally looked at the item and stopped in their tracks. It seemed that this must be an attractive jewel. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 45. TL. Alt. Chapter 45. A strange experience. There was a sense of calm in that area, as if the hustle and bustle of the surrounding world had suddenly stopped. It was a strange kind of calm, as if one had entered a temple or a shrine. Perhaps because they had been in the crowd for a long time and were feeling tense, Wataru and the others felt a sense of relief as the tension in their shoulders eased. At that moment, they felt a bit tired. "Hello, can I take a look?" "Sure." The beautiful woman replied briefly to Wataru's greeting. But she didn't seem cold. Maybe it was because she smiled slightly. Her voice was cool and pleasant. Besides the products, Wataru couldn't help but observe the beautiful woman's face. She had a finely proportioned face and distinctive almond-shaped eyes. She was probably in her late 20s or early 30s. She had long eyelashes, ash-gray eyes, and long purple hair held back by a hair ornament. She wore a loose purple-blue robe, but it didn't quite hide her voluptuous figure. She was a very beautiful woman. Wataru thought it would be rude to stare, so he shifted his gaze to the product. "That's a nice necklace, but is it for sale?" "Yes, it's a special one. I think you'll like it," the beautiful woman replied with a smile. She had a sophisticated way of smiling that lifted the corners of her mouth. Since she said it was a special one, it must be quite valuable. Her teasing tone piqued Wataru's interest. "I hope it's not a disappointment. Can you tell me what kind of ability it has?" "This is a transformation necklace." "Transformation? Does Mariel know about it?" "Yes. Most nobles have one." It was Mariel, not Wataru, who showed a strong reaction to the beautiful woman's answer. Her expression suddenly became stern, and she stared at the necklace, which brought her face close to it. Wataru was surprised by the sudden change and stared intently at Mariel's face. Mariel observed every detail of the necklace. The necklace was made of a very thin chain and had a silver-like color. The gemstone decorations looked like opals to Wataru. There were different colors and sparkles mixed in the 2-centimeter gem, but no two were alike. It was a very beautiful gem. Mariel reacted for a reason. The ability to transform does not actually change your appearance but rather the way others see you. Because of this effect, it is highly prized in espionage and criminal activities. The government strictly controls and collects possession of these items for counterintelligence and crime prevention purposes. However, there are cases where they appear on the market after an agent or criminal has died or been captured for some reason. As a former noble, Mariel was well aware of this ability. Mariel spoke in a low voice to Wataru. "Master, we must get this at all costs. If we let it pass, we won't be able to get it without luck or a strong connection." "Is it really that amazing?" "Of course it has value as a commodity. But it is also an indispensable tool for you, who will inevitably attract attention from now on. By changing your appearance, you won't be recognized and you can avoid unnecessary attention." "I see. So I can become good-looking too?" "You look good as you are, Master." "Thank you. Sorry, I'm a little embarrassed." Even at this point, Wataru is beginning to have an influence on the royal capital of the Welcome Trading Company by selling sugar and on Baron Mo of the Kaleidoscope. It was easy to imagine that in the future, he would attract unnecessary attention and excitement other than wealth. If Wataru could change his appearance, there would be fewer disturbances to avoid. It would also be useful for Air as an escort, and most importantly, it would be good for him to be able to act in Japan while disguising Air's ears and tail, which would stand out as a beastkin. The beautiful woman watched coldly as the two suddenly started flirting in front of her. Are you done talking? Yes, I'm sorry. How much does this cost? Well, if I take it to the Lord or someone, it would be about 5 gold coins, so I would want at least that much. I see. Mariel, it's okay. Your face isn't bad, master. Besides, you have me and Air, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the price. Besides, the way you're talking makes me sound like a total loser, you know? I see. Well, I think it's a reasonable amount. I'll definitely punish you next time. Wataru checked the contents of his purse. He had 10 gold coins left, so it wasn't an amount he couldn't pay. If he went back to Southern Ship Town, there would also be a new payment due from the Welcome Trading Company. Is it possible to check this item? Of course. But I'd be in trouble if you ran off with it, so please use it here. Okay. Air, can you try it on and see if you can hide your ears and tail? Okay. This looks kind of interesting. When Air had the necklace in her hand, she put it around her neck. It was a strange sight, hard to believe even if you saw it with your own eyes, like a magician making coins or cards disappear before your eyes. Air's ears and tail suddenly vanished. Even if you looked closely, she still looked like a normal human girl. What do you think? Even if I look at her, I can't believe it, but she looks like a human like me, not a beastkin. Hee, we're a match. Air, let me touch your head. Don't put your fingers in my ears. I'm sorry. I couldn't see. You are Tilda. When Air let out a scream, Wataru quickly pulled his hand back. Air looked at him with teary eyes. It seemed that she was really uncomfortable. Fufafu, what do you think? Thank you very much. Now I can buy it with peace of mind. Anyway, the product was definitely effective. After seeing that Mariel nodded, Wataru took his wallet out of his pocket and put it on the table. The clear sound of gold coins clinking together rang out. That's 5 gold coins. I'll take the necklace then. Yes, thank you for your purchase. Well then, Wataru Bito-san, I'll see you somewhere else. Eh? She's gone. There's no sign of her or any trace of her scent. As Wataru was about to leave the shop, he heard an unfamiliar voice and turned around, but there was nothing there. The beautiful woman was gone, and so were the tables and the tub. In the midst of the many shops that lined the street, it was an empty lot. Wataru and the others looked at each other in shock. The hustle and bustle of the street returned, and they hurried to move on, not wanting to be in the way. What was that all about? I don't know. Where's the necklace? I have it. I'm still wearing it. So it's still there? It's like we were tricked by a fox. Was it a fairy's whim or a witch's mischief? Huh? What do you mean, a fairy's whim? Master, what do you mean, tricked by a fox? A fox is a fox. Apparently, there is a similar saying. Using the power of the transformation necklace, Air transforms into a fox with fox-like ears and a tail, which she moves around to make people laugh. Wataru and Mariel looked at each other and laughed for a while, realizing that they were having the same experience in a different world. Despite the strange experience, they decided to put aside their doubts and trust the product since they felt no ill will. That night, the three of them arrived at the Hill of Stargazing Hill town that Baron Mo had recommended. Trading Between a Different World and Earth, Volume 1 Chapter 46. TL. Alt. Chapter 46. Starry Sky Pledge. The night sky at Stargazing Hill was just as its name suggested, with a sky full of stars. An amazing number of stars were scattered across the pitch-black sky. For Wataru, who usually lived in the city of Osaka and couldn't see the stars, it was a natural landscape so beautiful that he couldn't help but exclaim. The night in this other world was different from a hot, humid night in Japan, and it was far from the sweltering heat. However, the temperature was not as low, and it was pleasant to spend time there. When he sat down on the grass, the soft texture of the ground and the grass felt good. Wataru thought that he had touched the ground more often since he came to this world. When he lives in the city, he rarely comes into direct contact with natural objects. The moon and the stars shone down on them, and even though it was night, and they hadn't turned on any lights, Wataru could clearly see Mariel and Air's faces. It really is a spectacular view. No wonder the Baron recommends it. That particularly bright one is the star of the god of choice and guidance, Kalios. It's said that his position hardly changes throughout the year. Master, that's the god of beasts, Hopos. You can see him this time of year, but he hides in winter. Mariel and Air pointed to the stars and explained them to me. Both stars were especially bright and large. It's amazing how you can tell them apart when there are so many stars. So the gods have become stars? Not all the gods have become stars. After all, the sun god and the moon god are the sun and the moon. I see. This world is polytheistic, and there are many nature gods. Gods like the water god and the wind god are not considered to be stars but rather the things they represent. Wataru lay down and looked at the stars. Mariel offered her knee for him to rest his head on, feeling the soft touch on the back of his head. He thought back on the journey. There were many things that had surprised him in the short time he had been here, but all that will be over tomorrow. Tomorrow will be our last day in the Baron's territory. From tomorrow, we'll be heading to Southern Ship Town and then back to Japan. It's good that things are going according to plan. My great tiger Rice is back, so it's all good. That's right. Thanks to the Baron who came back early and met with us. That's right. After saying that, he remembered that it was originally thanks to Mariel's quick thinking. If he had waited for the Baron to have time according to Wataru's values, how long would it have taken? To tell the truth, that was also thanks to Mariel's tip to the guards. I was ahead at the time. He pushed Mariel's embarrassed forehead lightly and wouldn't let her bow her head. There was no need for an apology. His nose and mouth were blocked by her breasts, and he was almost suffocating. He really wanted her to stop. Mariel, your quick wit and knowledge helped me a lot in the negotiations. In this world where I don't know my right from my left, it was really reassuring to have you to back me up. Thank you. He sat up, thinking it would be rude to express his gratitude while lying down. Mariel nodded silently. When we were attacked by monsters on the way, Air was the first to jump out and defeat them, right? That was easy for me. After all, I'm strong. Even when we were negotiating with the Baron, you were on guard even though you were unarmed. There were several opponents, and it must have been a life-or-death situation. Well, I was there to protect you. Besides, it was to get my sword back. Air, thanks to your power, even in places where there were monsters and the security situation was bad, I was able to spend my time in peace. You always had a cheerful attitude, so I was never bored. Thank you. Nah ha ha ha. Air blushed and covered her mouth with her hands. She continued to hide her mouth by massaging her cheeks. Since I came into this world, I've experienced all kinds of new things. I don't think I could have done any of this without your help. I'm very grateful. Please continue to support me in the future when I'm lacking. Of course. We will do our best to help you, Master. He. Leave your back to me. Even if it is an evil god, I will definitely defeat him. The two of them smiled and answered Wataru's words. He was relieved that they both agreed so willingly. I promise you as well. I'll definitely make you happy. I'll do my best so that you won't regret being with me. With these three people, he was sure that they could do even greater things. However, as he spoke, he felt more and more embarrassed. He could feel his face turning red and his temperature rising. This isn't really my style. I'm so embarrassed. Is my face red? Foo, it's dark, so I can't really see. I can see well even at night, I can see. Why yeah, I don't understand at all. Air crouched down and stroked her leg. Did she say something unnecessary and get pinched? Mariel stared straight at Wataru, who was watching with a wry smile on his face. I'll tell you one thing, but I trust you, Master. I've never heard of a master negotiating with nobles to get back weapons his slave once had. The master who showed Momo the kaleidoscope was so cool. I fell in love with a different kind of power than mine. Momo. You can't say that in front of him. Hey, listen. This is no joke. Momo. Not good. Mariel, lend me your wisdom. If things continue like this, they're really going to be in trouble. After thinking for a moment, Mariel nodded and made a suggestion. Maybe it would work better if you cut off her snacks again, like last time. That's it. If you do it again, I'll cut out your side dishes next time. And when we get back to Japan, you'll just be eating white rice with nothing on it. in front of a plate of freshly fried fries and a beer. I don't want that. How could Master think of such a torture? Her loud voice echoes across the starry sky. They say there is a God of love, but if he saw them like this, he'd probably just laugh and not bless them. Please, even though you are my master, I don't want to be punished for such a stupid reason. Don't worry, Master. She's just embarrassed to tell you this. Air is very grateful for what you did for her. I hope so. Well. We had a serious conversation and now it's ruined. This is not good. Well, you could say that's the nature of our relationship. Well, that's true. But it's a little late for that now. Master. You're not really going to take away my side dish, are you? Are you? Well, I don't know about that. Master. The air was filled with the sound of loud shouts, and the night went on. The three of them had a good time making noise for a while before heading home. They would probably continue like this for a long time to come.